Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
Yeah, if every team has an enforcer, and as soon as Wilson gets on the ice,
he's out.
Just go after him.
Just go after him. He can't get his stick on the puck, ever.
End of the season, you got one player on each team who logs a total of 9 minutes.
Putting on the foil, coach.
Full-time hockey, Eddie Shore.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, come on. If you're not bleeding during the national anthem, then it's not a hockey game.
Exactly. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, July the 7th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy.
Hello, everybody.
All in all, we're just a RadioPete brick wall.
Brick wall, yeah. You look a little flat today, Pete.
I'm in an undisclosed location.
Yeah, very nice rake joint, though. That's
I'm officially in the witness protection program.
So. Is that what it is?
That's nice.
Gotcha.
But,
is everything all right, or you know?
Oh yeah, I just had a little trouble.
Wanted to go in it anyway. Something fun.
There he is.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that you or Wilford Brimley?
It's Wilford Brimley doing a Phil Collins video.
Gotcha.
I think they forgot to alter my voice though.
That's right.
Right. They put you in a shadow and they. Well, then I was walking down the street. But now it meld you into a wall.
Exactly.
You're just eating your Quaker Oats next to a wall.
Was that your hand or just another hand in the wall?
They brought in a hoist and hoisted me up on a horse and put the horse in a stream.
Oh, geez.
And
went all out.
It's pretty elaborate.
Oatmeal.
That's amazing.
All right. Well,
on that note.
There he is.
Oh,
there he is.
Hey, look at that. All
right, got the transporter fixed. Here I am.
All right, there you are.
There you are, back in the storage closet.
Yeah.
It's a shame there's no other shelves in that room.
Yes.
There are, actually.
Are there?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Actually, here we go. We have to figure out how to do this in real time.
We're going to open with, is it there? Oh, there it is. Look at that.
Look at that.
On the shelves, any of those shelves, is there a dictionary? There's got to be a dictionary.
A dictionary.
Ooh.
Is there a dictionary?
I feel like there might be a toaster oven in there.
The is it in there item is dictionary.
Dictionary. Is it in there?
No, we don't own that. We can't do that.
One of those discs over there might be a dictionary. I don't think so, though.
The round dictionary? The dictionary.
Dictionary, yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I have one of those.
Stumped.
Wow.
Stumped. Wow. Amazing. Oh, hey. Well,
all right.
There's a little Pete. There's a little Pete in that camera, though, right there. There's a tiny little Pete.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Right there in the corner of the camera.
This is his OnlyFans studio.
That's the OnlyFans cam.
And there's only one fan, but obviously it's a dedicated fan.
Well, and honestly, this is the biggest
oscillating fan.
This is the biggest rip-off OnlyFan that there is, because this is all they ever see of me.
Exactly.
You don't get on the bed in your kimono.
No. I just sit here and I describe what I'm doing.
You just sit there very. Do you ever use the Wilford Brimley effect if they pay extra?
Actually, let's see what the Wilford Brimley effect
looks like on that one. Yeah, exactly. Will it work?
Let's go with.
Can you get the Wilford Brimley app from the App Store?
Wilford, up there he is. That's actually interesting. There you go.
Yeah.
It
just looks like a really bad 80s alt rock video. Like, I feel like Susie and the Banshees is going to play at any moment.
It kind of looks like the end of Altered States. Remember that movie?
Yes. Yeah, it does. As a matter of fact.
Or Max Headroom's. If Max Headroom and Wilford Brimley
went on tour. Yeah. It's just somebody's living room.
Whatever happened to Max Headroom?
I don't know. I think he's doing commercials now for some other pharmaceutical.
You would think he'd show up on some sort of 80s nostalgia tour, you know?
You would imagine.
Actually, doesn't he do the I guess they still don't do the show anymore. I love the 80s or whatever it was.
I don't know. I mean, he should definitely be on tour with the Hooters or something, you know?
Yeah, the one where they made fun of all the celebrities all the time, or
he should be on tour with his Hooters. Now we're back to his OnlyFans thing.
Right. No, the Hooters.
Oh,
probably the worst. Maybe. I'm not sure. There's been a lot of competition since in the years since.
Right.
But I would argue and have a pretty good case that maybe the worst rock band of all time. But we'll get to that top 10 list another day.
We'll do that.
They did write Time After Time, though.
They did?
So,
Did
yeah,
they?
they did. Yeah, they did. That's one of their songs.
Imagine that.
And Cyndi Lauper made it famous.
Yes, she did.
Their version sucked, but hers was great.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Whatchamacallit went and redid it too, I think, right? Miles
somebody
Davis.
did.
Miles Davis did a jazz version.
Miles Davis did it?
Did a jazz version of Time After Time, yeah.
No,
I believe so. I could be
he
wrong.
wasn't-
I'm pretty sure I did, yeah.
He wasn't around long enough to do the dermatology commercials.
No. But in any event,
Yes.
on that note, folks, if any of you are listening to this on the audio podcast, on any of the audio streams, and you're curious to see what Pete was like, just go to Facebook or YouTube, our YouTube channel, and check it out. It's worth it. Trust me.
Or send a self-addressed stamped envelope to P.O. Box 6643, Edgewater, New Jersey.
Exactly.
And we'll send you a VHS copy of the
Exactly.
entire
You must
interview.
send a blank VHS tape in it, though.
True.
And we don't have any.
Okay.
But just go to www.transporterporn
Transporter porn.
and
Is that a real
.com.
site?
It is. It will be.
It is
soon.
now.
It is now.
If I can get to the trademark quickly enough, then it will be.
That's right.
And you can
Trekkie
witness
porn.
the feature live,
Live, exactly.
especially
Right.
curated for you.
Exactly.
Right.
Just for you.
That's right.
Okay, well.
Only on the Food Network, late on Sunday evenings.
Hey, speaking of food, did you guys watch the hot dog eating contest?
No, but didn't what's his name
Joey-
set the all new record?
Joey
Yeah,
Chestnut,
but,
he ate
yeah.
an extra hot dog this year.
I
yeah.
stopped watching hot dog eating after Kobayashi retired. I mean, Kobayashi was my guy.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. He won by like 20 hot dogs.
Well, there was some guy who was like 912 pounds, so I guess gave him a run for his money or something like that. I think
No,
he ate.
not really.
I think he has next year just eat Joey,
He ate Joey Chestnut. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
and then doesn't all of everything Joey ate count towards
And
what you ate as
70
well?
Yeah, I guess
Sure.
so.
You just add.
Here's what I think. If you really want to have the contest,
Right.
there's no dunking or anything. It's just hot dogs in buns, and you have to eat it. You can't dunk the bread
You
and
can't
make
dunk
it
the
wet.
bread. You just got to eat it. And you got to
gotta
put
eat the hot
toppings.
dog.
You got to put
toppings
toppings
can
on
be
it.
optional.
You got to. That would be even.
That's fine.
That would be another.
But
Okay,
just the hot dog-
he ate 2 hot dogs more, but the other guy ate bacon and cheese on every hot dog.
Yeah, or he
Yeah.
ate like 9 ounces of yellow mustard or something like
Yeah,
that.
something
So
like
yeah,
that,
that could be a tiebreaker.
Exactly.
But yeah, the hot dog on the bun, and you eat it, and
With-
just see
no
how many you
dunking,
can
none of
put
that,
down
just,
in- No.
I think if you really want to make it fun, then you have to bring. Everyone gets their own personal dirty water dog cart from 56th Street in Manhattan,
And that's what they can dunk in.
and you actually have to
If they wanna
stick your
dunk.
head in or your raw hand into the boiling water to grab your dog.
dogs.
Yeah,
What I said the other day was they got to forget about these, small push cart dirty water dogs and all of that. Eat a really big, thick, heavy grilling hot dog. The big ones that snap on the grill when you cook them.
Right.
Those, yeah. They're and eat 76 of those, fucker. Go ahead. Try
My
that.
son said like
I think the
Just
hot dog eating
throw a-
contest had higher ratings than the NBA Game 1
I
finals.
think it actually did.
my son
Sad
said
to say,
throw a
but-
couple of raw ones in there.
Raw dogs.
Yeah,
dogs.
That's a different competition.
just to spice things up
Eat
a
it,
little
eat
bit.
it raw.
We're getting back to OnlyFans.
Back to OnlyFans. And it's a big
the
circle.
2021 Raw Dog competition is very different. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
throw a couple of raw ones in there. That has a lot of potential connotations when it
This
comes
is
to
true.
OnlyFans. So.
There's more chewing going on in that.
Alrighty. Well, we've definitely this is the
Exhausted
quickest
that.
we've ever jumped off into a ditch.
I just realized that the entire beginning of the show here, we get the NHL background up. So let me
Well,
switch
it is cold
to-
as ice.
This is true. I'll switch it to baseball there. For
Why don't you switch it to Pete's brick wall? I mean,
if I had Pete's brick wall, I would put it up.
or Max Headroom.
I do not have either of those, but I could search for one if you'd like. But
The Max Headroom
why
backdrop.
not? Sure, put him in like one of the corners.
Yeah,
and,
it's almost as popular as the Joe Franklin
all right.
show.
We could put Max Headroom in one corner and Joe Franklin in the other.
Joe Franklin, yeah. Joe Franklin, that kind of grew up on Joe Franklin and
Absolutely.
Uncle
This-
Floyd.
Oddly enough, this is the second time Joe Franklin has been mentioned on this podcast.
Well, he's mentioned. I mention him at least 5 times a day. So.
Well, then,
Uncle Floyd's still on the air. I heard him a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
Uncle Floyd is still in the air, really?
Oh yeah.
Floyd Vivino. Yep.
He was doing the
What is he on? Like what media source?
radio. He was on radio.
Oh, radio.
Has he got a Sirius XM channel or something? Or?
I think so.
Didn't he used to broadcast his show just like in East Rutherford or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Well,
it was local
always did
in
a music
County.
show. The
Sure.
the show, Musica Italiano or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Where he would play, a lot of the
His whole
traditional.
family's from like that whole, it's like in Fairlawn over to Patterson and everything else. They were all
Because he speaks Italian. He would do the show half in English and half in Italian. I listened to it a couple times.
It's
so he's done that forever, but most people know him from the Uncle Floyd show.
The Uncle Floyd show.
Actually, most people don't know him.
Most people that know him,
those that
know
are still
him
alive
from
and
the
remember
Uncle
him,
Floyd show.
remember him as Uncle
Right.
Floyd.
He's I guess he's still doing something. I don't know.
Floyd Vivino.
Official website of Uncle Floyd, unclefloyd.net. It looks like a website that was made in 1987, but yeah, it's
There's some
Website
merch
made in
for sale
87.
there and stuff, right?
Isn't that
You can buy
before
it.
Al Gore invented the internet?
it was. Actually, what's his name? Uncle Floyd's little helper there invented the internet.
Gotcha.
What was his name?
Oogie?
I don't know. Oogie, there you
Oogie, yeah.
go.
Oh my God.
That's a brain cell that I will never use for anything.
Exactly.
is.
Just got that Oogie brain cell. in it.
Uncle
It's
Floyd
also
show
there.
warehouse sale. So, they're.
Oh, there you go.
I want the jacket.
There is a great jacket. Yeah, I wonder what's. Yeah. Wow, that's
I
not
will
bad.
wear it on this podcast
Yeah.
if I can.
You should.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a kid, that's really. I mean, Uncle Floyd. That's what I always look forward to. That or watching the Ramones play on Joe Franklin.
There you go. So, how's? Oh, by the way, I did mean to ask you how's Denver filling in? Anything yet, or is it still too early for a mass entrance to the city for the All-Star game?
I don't know. I haven't. Oh, I was downtown the other day. It's too early. It's too early. But there's a lot of people. The tourists are back in Colorado. It's this past weekend there was a lot of outsiders.
Gotcha. Yeah.
When is the game? Isn't it tomorrow or something? I don't know.
No, it's still
Next
a
Tuesday.
week away. Yeah.
Really?
Next
What
Tuesday.
the hell?
Yeah.
The baseball. The home run derby is Monday, and the All-Star game's Tuesday, as it is every year.
What about the old timers game?
It's in August.
Okay.
That's every day in the
When
month.
it's the hottest.
When it's the hottest, of course.
Yeah.
We want to
Roll
send
the
geezers-
60-year-olds out.
Send the
the
geezers
70-year-olds
out there in the
Well,
Well,
some of
what's
the
sad is
sun.
that most of the old timers that are actually playing in the game are younger than the three of us. But that's besides the point. So.
Speak for
and
yourself.
still way, way better
Well, of
at
course,
baseball.
a lot
yeah.
of things. But anyway,
I
so
want to start my career in the old timers league
well, why not? I was,
as a coach.
of course.
I just want to be like a.
Third base coach for the old timers game.
I want to be
Yeah,
a hitting
I just-
instructor.
I work one day a year, which is more than most people this past year. But yeah, I work one
This is
day.
very
a year.
true.
Because what am I going to tell those guys
Who, the old timers?
if I'm a hitting coach for the for an old timers team?
You
what am I
just
gonna-
tell them, lunch is in an hour.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you want to choke
You're
up.
standing right next to him when you say it
That's
Yeah.
right.
like that.
That's right.
So,
Why don't you
anyway.
try a different bat?
Yeah,
I don't know
use
which
that
one. Just
Use
try
this
different. Yeah.
Why don't you
That's-
try? Why don't you go find your pants?
Not needed.
I mean,
Anyway,
you know.
so Trevor Bauer, how's
Woof.
oh,
This is getting
just
interesting.
keeps sinking and sinking and sinking. He's not expected back after his 7-day administrative leave is up, which is only a few days away. But did you see what the Dodgers did?
They put Kershaw on the injured list.
That's besides that. They got rid of. They canceled Trevor Bauer bobblehead day, and they took
Yeah.
all of his merchandise off all the shelves.
Because the neck wasn't long enough to choke it.
I don't understand what the problem here is. Right? I mean, this seems consensual, and now she's trying to get some money out of it. Isn't that what's happening here?
I mean,
Well, I mean, parts of it probably were, in theory, consensual, but I don't think the punching her in the face part was part of the, pre-approved game.
I don't know.
plan.
She said, "Slap me. I want you to slap me."
Yeah, well,
Right? Wasn't that a part of the text? Give me the rough stuff.
I don't think he wanted her. Didn't she have like a broken jaw or something like that? Yeah.
I don't know.
He broke her jaw.
I don't know.
I know. I mean, he did say that it was because she wanted to be choked out, is what he said that she told him. So he obliged, and now this is what's happening. Now, who knows? This is again. This goes back to the whole Deshaun Watson. He said, she said. Everything else. So, it's apples and oranges. I know, but still, it's like it's a he said, she said thing, is my
some
point.
Texts. This isn't just two people that were in a room together and no one else is there.
Right.
We have electronic.
You got the text to prove it.
I think it'd be apples to apples if Trevor Bauer ordered a massage and then choked out his massage therapist. Punched her in the face.
That would be a lot closer.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of ways this actually could have happened, right? He could have gone too far, right? The whole thing could be a ploy, right? To get money out of him. And
was there multiple meetings? Is it
it was more than once, I believe. I heard that
more than once. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it did escalate beyond what she wanted or expected, or that's.
I suppose
we all understand that no means no, but when you've already kind of been slapped around a little bit and you're going back the second time, there's this that's a tough sliding scale, right? I want you to hurt me, but
I'll come back again and I'll say it again. But no, yeah, exactly.
I think hurt might be a little bit of a subjective term, and maybe a professional athlete slapping you in the head is maybe not. I don't know. I think maybe when you wake up with a concussion or close to it, then maybe things went too far. I don't know. I don't know the details.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I'm not trying to defend one side or the other, but I don't know how you.
It couldn't happen to a nicer guy, though. I mean,
this is true.
Well,
I wanted to wait till I was kind of hoping till October to Trevor Bauer's choking becomes the news, but now it's already here at the All-Star break.
I see where you went there.
Nicely done.
That was very nice. That was good. There you go. Yeah. There'll definitely be a sound bite at some point. Very good.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. So the Mets are playing their second game right now against Milwaukee today. Second game, third game overall. Second game today.
Yeah, they're playing a doubleheader today, right?
Playing a doubleheader, a day-night doubleheader, and
7-inning games.
We'll get to that in a second. Well, actually, let's get to it right now. This happened with the Mets and the Yankees over the weekend too. A game got postponed because of rain, so they made it a day-night doubleheader. Split admission, get everybody out, get new people in, but you make it a 7-inning game. Now, the television networks were expecting a 9-inning game for both of those games, and they're only going to get 7 innings worth of commercials. And then the fans are paying for a 9-inning game, and they're getting 7 innings, both of them. Both sets for the games. So where is that? I
try to
time doubleheader. It's one thing, but
I misjudged it. I thought the Aroldis Chapman meltdown was going to happen in the 9th, and I didn't know it was only a 7th-inning game. So I missed it completely.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was scheduled for the 9th inning, but they had to move it to the 7th because of the doubleheader. So so in any event, but
so is that when he comes out of the bullpen? And they're like, hey, listen, can you
melt down a couple innings earlier?
Can you choke a little bit earlier because we only have 7 innings to get this thing
I mean, look, is it legal if, as he's jogging out of the bullpen, they just spray his entire body with whatever tack, spider tack? I mean...
like a little mister that he has to run through. That would be the way to do it.
The good news is the Yankees are hitting again.
Tack? Is that a tack?
The bad news is that obviously their two best pitchers we're definitely relying on some additives.
A little bit of adhesion.
That is true. There is a big drop off for Mr. Cole, but
yeah. But to your point, I don't know what your point was, but 7-inning games or
7-inning games. Look, it just sucks for the people that are expecting a 9-inning game, both whether it's a fan or the TV network or whatever.
The network's
getting 14 innings in one day instead of 9, so they're
right, But that's true. But if you take Sunday's doubleheader for the Mets Yankees game, that was the one game was an SNY game, and the other game was an ESPN game. So one network's getting 7 innings when they were supposed to get 9 one night, and ESPN the same one the other way.
I really can't feel
I'm not going to play my violin.
I don't care. Yeah, I know, but I'm thinking of the fans. I'm adding the TV networks into the conversation, but I'm thinking of the fans.
Well,
the fans that were supposed to go Friday night went Sunday afternoon and only got 7 innings to watch. And then they had to get out of there, and then
The way I look at it is that yes, it was another loss for the Yankees, but maybe it's another 2 weeks before Chad Green's arm falls off.
Right.
So it's abysmal.
This is part of baseball, and I don't know if they realize they have to kind of walk a line of sorts between, do you want to alienate the fans? Because they're back now, and we had the abbreviated season, and now things are quote unquote back to normal. But we've talked about what they've done over the years and how they've changed the game and how they've alienated fans. Well, now you've got the guy on second and the 7-inning doubleheader and all this other crap. And we're all still excited for baseball, and we got a whole season with these caveats, of course.
Right.
But if people are really that upset about it, then next year or maybe the year after, the attendance is going to start to fall off.
It's the same thing with every sport.
I think they're going to get used to it. But
there's a bunch of old guys complaining about the new rules of the NBA. Nothing's going to change there. There's a bunch of old guys complaining about man on second and seventh inning. No one's going to change.
But baseball was struggling, right?
Was it?
Well, sure. It was
struggling in Rob Manfred's eyes. I don't know if it actually was struggling.
Well, it was not the number one sport anymore. Football crushes it.
Yeah, but football's been crushing baseball for so many years.
Baseball was on top, and they didn't stay there, is my point.
Unless baseball is compressed to a minute long and put and sandwiched between big tits and big ass on a TikTok video, people aren't going to watch it.
They're not going to watch it. The kids that Rob Manfred is going after to watch baseball now.
What is this?
I don't care if he makes it a 10-minute game, and like Harry just said.
That's just short-sightedness by an old guy who somebody younger doing that.
I think that there are. My point being is that I think there are plenty of young people watching baseball.
Sure,
I don't think they give a shit if it's a 7-inning or a 9-inning game. And my point being is I don't think they're going to care if it's a 9-inning game. Right. You're not going to lose them if it's 9 innings. Right. You're not going to gain anybody by making it a 7-inning game. You're just not.
You're not.
But you risk losing some of those old fans. The older
I don't think
fans.
so. We're still watching. What else are we going to watch?
Well, we're just going to. We're not going to
reruns.
They're not going to lose us. We're just going to bitch about more things about it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I think next year the man on second thing, extra inning thing, will probably go away because I have heard multiple people kind of complain about that.
Yeah,
the 7-inning doubleheader. It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, why do we?
Why do we need
doubleheaders? Why do we need doubleheaders? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we shouldn't have doubleheaders. Maybe no one should be watching 18 innings of baseball with the same 2 teams in one day.
Yeah, but then you've got, then you get inclement weather and you're at the end of the season and you've got to extend the season by 12 days to make up games. You can't have that.
I
think some of those games you don't even need to play.
Yeah, extend it if needed. That's all.
And then
but everybody's got to play the same number of games. That's not. We talked about that before.
Well, you're right. If there's 3 games between a team that's leading the league and a team that's in the basement, and no matter who wins or loses those games, it's not going to affect either of them. You don't play them.
Back in the day when there was a rain postponed game, they didn't automatically do a double header the next day.
No.
A lot of times, the next time those two teams played, the off day was turned into another game.
Right.
But the games got played, is my point.
The games got played. This whole double header and then turning it into it's basically you're completely shifting the game and benefiting one team over the other by going into this 7-inning.
And here's another problem too. And this is a minor problem, mind you, but this is another problem. Take for instance DeGrom. He was supposed to pitch last night in the game last night. Instead, he pitched this afternoon. Right now, his next scheduled start was next Sunday, so that was 5 days rest. Now he's got 4 days rest. And if he doesn't pitch on Sunday on 4 days rest, he doesn't pitch for 10 days. So now that's another problem by doing that.
that's not baseball's problem. That's the Mets' problem.
Right. No. But
and they have to figure out.
It's not only the Mets' problem. It's anybody that's in that particular situation.
Right. That's a team problem, and
I was just using that as an example. Is all I was doing. It could just happen today. But
I don't think they need to make up these games right away. I agree with you.
Right.
But they do have to be made up.
Right.
I mean,
if there's
I think a 7-inning doubleheader is stupid.
Yeah.
To me, it's just I think you're fixing something that isn't broken.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, exactly.
You're not gaining any fans.
Right.
If you want to gain fans, then market better. Talk about the history of the game. Talk about actually give young people access to more of what the history of the game was. Give them that access that maybe they don't have because they don't have somebody discussing it with them. I think that's how you don't get into playing the guitar by throwing John Mayer at somebody. You turn on Hendrix or something and or Cream or something and then they go back to John Mayer.
Right.
So it's it's not as if there's not a way of increasing the spread of baseball to younger people. I think it's going to always be there.
Right.
Yeah, but I think also you have to kind of look at what are the younger people, or at least some of them, more interested in, right? I think the younger generations are more I think they're more socially conscious. I'm going to make broad statements here, right?
Yeah, I get where you're going. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
There's a lot of players in professional sports who do a lot of charity, right? Everybody's got a foundation. Everybody is doing something to save the environment or cure cancer for dogs or feed hungry children or whatever it is.
Right.
So why not play that up? Maybe you're going to get some of those kids who will go, hey, that guy's not only a good baseball player, but he's working for a cause that is near and dear to my heart. And that would get them, maybe there has to be a different strategy to bring, to connect the younger people with the players as people, not just as players. And it's got to be something other than let's shorten the game or,
I totally agree.
Maybe there are different strategies that need to
I think the Trevor Bauer PSA is coming out.
Of course. I agree with both of you. And to Harry's point, I think the perfect thing for Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball to do on that note to teach younger people about the history is to broadcast our podcast every week, and then they'll learn it.
Sure,
especially the top 10s and the old balls.
They'll find a 9-inning game to be a breeze after a 2.5 hour
podcast
of this garbage.
Absolutely.
Boy, I'll watch it. I'll watch 2 9-inning games from back to back. Just don't make me watch that podcast.
I'll watch
exactly.
I'll watch
whatever you want me to watch. I'll watch. I'm good.
I'll watch 9-inning doubleheaders. Out of market teams that I've never heard of before.
Just so I don't have to watch that again. Exactly.
Yeah. This is what and that could be this is what you'll be watching if baseball disappears, kids.
That's right.
Right. Exactly.
That's right.
3 guys talking about what baseball used to be.
Exactly.
Remember back in the day.
I remember when you could rub pine tar all the way up to the 3/4 up the bat.
Yeah, just keep it away from the label, and then you were good.
Right.
Daddy, who was George Brett? Exactly.
George Brett.
All right.
Possibly the best third baseman of all time.
This is true. A couple of questions for you.
Yes.
What you call it? The Mets took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees over the weekend.
Yes, they did. Oh, they took 1. They won 1.
They won 1. The Yankees lost 2.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
No, they won. The Mets won 1. They beat. Then the Yankees lost 1, and then the Yankees actually won 1.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But my point going forward, they're going to take at least 2 of 3 from the Brewers, depending on what happens tonight. And the Brewers are one of the best teams in baseball.
I thought Milwaukee beat them yesterday.
No. That's
the Mets won.
It was postponed.
The Mets. It was postponed yesterday. The Mets won on Monday.
Mets won on Monday.
Okay. Yesterday was postponed until this afternoon, which was the doubleheader, and the Mets won this afternoon in a walk-off. In fact, it was Jeff McNeil's first walk-off RBI of his career today. So,
congratulations!
Exactly. So
he needed it too.
And they beat him today. Was a 1-run game. The Mets have played in 31 1-run games so far this year.
That's a sign of a good team.
They've won 18 and lost 13. So
I mean, if they can get to 10 games above 500 here pretty soon, I think they'll be sitting pretty strong.
Exactly. So that's my point. Is this can we are we at the point where we can start to actually believe in this team to some degree?
Well, everybody's hitting better for some reason. I mean,
And it's not just say, well, they got off to the slow start, so they're playing catch up, and
No,
the answer to the question is no.
The answer is no.
Do you know when you start believing in the team for a season? The day after the season's over and they've won the World Series.
Yeah, when you hear the guy say the Mets are World Series champions, that's when you believe it, and not goddamn second before.
I think they're turning into a good team. Are they in the top? I think they're one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the National League right now.
Sure,
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
they're also one skid away from being a 500 team again.
True story.
So
true story. They seem to have more problems with their own division, which is shittier than the other divisions. Let's face it. But yet they're holding their own against the Brewers and the the Padres and the teams like that. So we'll see what happens. But
some teams do that. They get up for the competition, or rather they play down too.
And there is a familiarity when you play teams that often. Pitchers see batters more often.
And you're right.
There's a little bit more of a a tendency to sort of have a little bit more of an understanding of what the strengths and weaknesses are of that player.
True story.
Yeah.
DeGrom, on the other hand, just a couple of things about him. He's right now in Major League Baseball. He's first in ERA, first in WHIP, first in strikeouts through 9 innings, first in opponent's average, and first in opponent's OPS.
Yeah, he's the best pitcher in baseball, and there's no one close.
Now,
I would say he's the only dominant pitcher in baseball right now
at the moment. Yeah, but here's the thing, that they actually did the schedule they did because they did not want him to pitch in the All-Star game. They didn't want, because when last time we went out to Colorado,
the Mets didn't want him to pitch.
Mets didn't want him to. Yeah, the Mets. Yeah, no. Baseball wants him to pitch in the All-Star game.
And probably the guys on the American League squad didn't want him to pitch.
Didn't want to pitch either. Yeah, exactly. But
I think a lot of pitchers don't want to pitch in Colorado ever.
Well, yeah, he said the last time he pitched in Colorado when the Mets went out there against the Rockies, he said afterwards he felt banged up, and it was a cause for a couple of weeks of him feeling like crap. So, and they were figuring it was the altitude, so they didn't really want him to go out there and pitch. So they had the schedule the way they did. So now they're crossing their fingers that he's going to be able to go on short rest on Sunday, specifically so he has the excuse as to why he's not pitching on Tuesday.
Right.
So,
getting back to the Mets, though, they have 2 more wins than the Yankees, and we're talking about the Mets finally. Oh, yeah, the Mets are doing great. And we're talking about the Yankees as if they are the worst team in the history of baseball, and they should trade Aaron Judge and shoot Giancarlo Stanton in the leg so that they can get out of his contract.
It's also, we talked about this too, it's also because of expectations too, right?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people, including you guys, picked the Mets to win that division.
Right? Because of the division, not because of...
Actually, I didn't pick
them. No, he didn't. I did.
No. I mean, I think it was the Mets. I mean, there's a lot of parity in that division, and there still is. The Mets are leading the division by 4.5 games, but they're only up by 3 games on Atlanta in the win column.
Right.
They just so I mean the Mets are a good baseball team. But there's yes, there's a lot of parity in baseball right now. No one is dominating in a way that and the better teams seem to always have a problem with one of the lesser teams. Somebody will come
somebody's
in
and
somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to win against everybody, except they're going to lose every series against the Twins and Diamondbacks.
Right.
And it's just it's baseball.
You talk about parity. I mean, the 2 best teams record-wise right now in the best American League team, best National League team are the Red Sox and the Giants. If I had said that to you, that was going to be like that at the All-Star break at the beginning of the season, you would have thought it was nuts.
And the Red Sox are going to get better here with Sale coming back. Both those teams are. I mean, I still think that in the end, the Dodgers and Padres will be. I think they'll be ahead of the Giants, but these are all going to come down. All these races are going to come doing. They're going to be very close, I think. And
you don't think the Dodgers are going to choke?
Well, they've already their best chokers might be out.
Yeah, this is true.
I don't know. I mean, look, it's I think it's there's just a lot of uncertainty. I mean, yeah, I think the Mets are playing good ball. I think the Brewers have been consistently pretty good. Obviously, the Giants and the Dodgers are, everybody talked about how the Dodgers are not doing great. They're 20 games above 500. I mean,
yeah. And and they've been struggling lately.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, look, the Mets are neither a superlative team or are they a lousy team.
Right.
They're a good team, and we want to, we keep wanting to talk about, are they over the cusp? Are they over the hump, or whatever it is? Have they ascended into being a great team or a really good team? They're a good team, and they're in a lousy division. Right. I don't think while they haven't played as many games, I don't think that's as much. Look, statistically, it matters, but I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Unless if they made up those, what is it, 5 games now or whatever,
4 or 5 games,
4 or 5 games. If they lost every single one of them, they'd still kind of be right in the thick of it.
Be right.
It's not like they're great because they haven't played the same number of games They're a good team. They're not great. They've got a few great players. They seem to have good chemistry, and they're winning despite a neophyte manager who, is the best thing you can ever hear about Rojas is nothing.
Exactly.
Well, maybe
when he doesn't make the news,
maybe he's a strength for this team.
Exactly.
And look, most of as we approach the All-Star game here, most of it, with the exception of maybe the Red Sox and a little bit of a surprise from the Giants and the Chicago White Sox, most of the teams that are in or at the top are kind of who we thought they would be.
Yeah. One thing on the Mets, though, the one thing that is different that I have to say, I wanted to say this before, about the Mets this year, as a Met fan, and Pete, you can agree or disagree with me, but the one thing right now anyway, and again, despite Rojas and some other issues and everything else, the one thing about watching this team this year is that last year when they were down 2 runs, with an inning or so to play, you were like, they're losing this game. Now you're like, let's see what they can do. Hopefully they can win it. There's a little bit more of an optimistic look at what they're doing right now. So,
they're a more well-rounded team, and their defense is better.
Right. Yeah.
Even though there's lots of question marks.
I did see the other day that they had, I think this is on the MLB network, they were talking about it, and everyone gets bit by the injury bug, and there's some sort of stat that measures that. Mm-hmm. When it's like a modified WAR or something like that, and they were saying that the Mets had the highest number, so they were the most hurt by injuries, slightly by a little bit. Not saying So look, maybe
their bench and their moves that they made, they were the right moves. That's why they were able to stay where they are.
Guys are coming back, and if people stay healthy, then maybe they'll be even a better team in the second half. But they're a good team. That's all you can say about it. A good team. They're winning series, and they're winning the games that they should be winning, and winning maybe a couple that are sort of the toss-ups. And that's all you got to do. You just have to win enough. You don't have to dominate.
Right.
Now on the Yankees end of things, I got to ask you both: will Boone be getting booted, despite what Hal Steinbrenner said last week?
I think
did the 12-1
win against
stomping of the Mariners?
No, I think it does a little bit depend on how they round out the first half of the season here. I don't think they're going to get rid of Boone, because I think that's in Steinbrenner's mind.
Right.
The peg that would need to be taken out before Boone is Cashman. Right. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Not in season anyway.
No, and who are, and unless there's a dramatic change at the GM position, I don't really think it's going to it matters who is going to be managing. And I don't say, who are you going to bring in? Are you going to bring in Buck Showalter? Are you going to bring in an old school manager? It just
depends on the GM he brings in. The analytics are there not because of Al Steinbrenner. The analytics are there because of Cashman.
The Yankees have to ride this out, because and I've been beating this drum for 3 years, because 3 years ago I said that they need to trade certain players because they still had value and that they could still get something for them. Right. Now those players are either mediocre at best or tailing off dramatically, and or they've been re-signed to contracts which they just can't get out of. So the Yankees are going to ride Giancarlo Stanton's contract into an abysmal death, and it's going to be long and drawn out and miserable. they can't trade. They can't get anything for Chapman right now unless they get him in there with 3 games before the end of the first half of the season with some spider tack on his hand again. He's a nut job, and the Cubs were smart enough to get him once, or lucky enough to get through that ordeal. They didn't win the World Series because of him. In fact, they almost lost it because of him.
They won it in spite of him.
Yeah. So,
but he did help kind of get them there,
right?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't
specifically
do what
the games in the World Series.
Yeah, they didn't. He didn't do what everything that they brought him in to do, but he did some of it. And
the Yankees have one person that they can trade to get value for right now before they have to re-sign him to a long-term exorbitant contract. And he's their best player on their team right now. He's the only all-star on the Yankees this year.
And that's Gary Sanchez, right?
Yeah, it's Gary. Well, the time to trade Sanchez was 3 years ago.
Sure.
Gleyber Torres, I mean, they have to ride it out. This was a guy who was an all-star 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now he's, can he come back? Maybe. I mean, I like Miguel Andujar. I think he's a good hitter. I watched him try to catch a fly ball. The one run that Seattle scored last night was on what should have been an error on Andujar because he can't play any position in the field.
Right.
So what is his value? On a team that's loaded with potential DHs, you have to stick him out there somewhere. I mean, there's some guys that are starting to play better. I think Gio Urshela has some upside. I mean, obviously Gary Sanchez is starting to be okay. He's approaching mediocre. His slugging is up a little bit, but they can't really get rid of a lot of these guys. So they're going to have to ride it out
But what is the goal of riding it out? Like, we're going to ride it out and hope it gets better?
Well, they have to
ride it out and wait till the end of the season, and then
they have to, and then they have to make some tough decisions as to whether or not to release some people or to not re-sign some of their big names, and that's going to be tough. The key is going to be Judge. Judge has been injury prone. Judge is good. Judge is not what he was 3 years ago when he was an MVP candidate. Right. Will he ever return to that? I don't know. I see Aaron Judge becoming, I mean, Dave Winfield played deeper into his career in the outfield than Aaron Judge is going to. So you're going to have Judge and Stanton as 2 really expensive DHs who are going to be injury prone and maybe not as reliable to always be there. Voigt's injury hurt them a lot. He hasn't really bounced back 100%, although he had a good game last night. Right. So maybe the hitting is starting to come back. So, a lot of the guys who were impacted by really bad beginning of the season seem to be guys who have typically been pretty good hitters over the last few years. Mm-hmm. So across the league, you're starting to see guys hit the ball again. What a surprise. The spin rate's down because the ball's not doctored and people are able to see it and hit it a little better.
Right.
The Yankees offense hasn't been an issue. The Yankees just do not have a confident team with any sort of pitching they're putting way too much emphasis on their bullpen. And their bullpen's not great because Chapman is overrated and always has been.
Yep.
Did you just say the Yankees offense hasn't been an issue?
It hasn't. Not in the last month.
Not in the last week, but maybe. But
not in the last month it hasn't. They're scoring runs. If Garrett Cole is pitching and the Yankees score 5 or 6 runs, they should win that game.
Should.
Okay.
They should win the game. Yeah.
Well,
they shouldn't have to.
That's true of a lot of guys.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, if your ace is pitching and you score 6 runs, you should win.
You should win. That's true of basically any team.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what the Yankees have been doing. Now, have there been games where they've laid an egg? Yeah. But of late, the Yankees are scoring runs. I mean, that's just, I don't think I'm making this up, but they've been scoring.
They've been scoring runs. They've been blowing it in the late innings too. They bring in the bullpen, Chapman, obviously, and a couple other guys or whatever, and sure enough, Chapman's just a disaster lately. I mean, I honestly, as a Met fan watching that, and you guys know, I don't hate the Yankees. The only time I really root against them is when they're playing the Mets. But
sure,
let's
look at this.
But I couldn't believe that meltdown the other day. I was shocked.
No. So they scored 12 runs last night, then won. Yeah. They beat the Mets by scoring 4 runs and only holding the Mets to 2. I thought it was actually a really good pitching performance. They lost to the Mets, but still scored 5 runs. They lost to the Mets. Okay, they scored 3. That's not great, but that's not their offense tanking. They lost to the Angels 11-8. Okay, they beat the Angels by scoring 11 runs. They lost to the they did not score really well against the Red Sox. 3-2-2,
Right.
and so their offense did not look great there. But boy, we were feeling good going into that because we played a team in Kansas City that sucks, and we scored 5, 6, and 8. And then they beat the Athletics 2 out of 3. They should have won all 3 of those games, close games, but they scored. So, I think their offense has been above average and where you would expect it to be.
Right.
They're not consistently scoring 8, 9, 10 runs a game like they did a couple of years ago, but I don't expect them to because they're not healthy enough to do that.
Right. I got it.
But it's their pitching and some game like last night, Talon looked great. He looked great. He had great movement, amazing location. The Yankees season really started to go downhill when Corey Kluber got hurt.
Right. Well, we'll see how everything pans out. I mean, we're a few games away from ending the first half of the season. So we'll see how things shake out at that point. And speaking of the first half of the season ending, the All-Star game again, like we said, is next Tuesday. You want to? There's some interesting.
Actually, did you mention DeGrom 1,500?
I did not know.
Oh, okay.
1,500.
Second fastest to 1,500 strikeouts.
Second fastest to 1,500 strikeouts. Yeah.
Who was the fastest?
You Darvish, who did it like a week ago or something,
week and
right?
a half ago. Yeah.
So 197 for Darvish and 198 for DeGrom.
Yeah.
And in third place is Randy Johnson at 206.
Yeah.
Which you would think, those are all impressive numbers, but
of course.
Two guys passing Randy Johnson
in within a week and a half of each other.
Within a week and a half of each other. That's
Exactly.
pretty ridiculous.
So
Spider Tack is good stuff.
Obviously DeGrom
doesn't
rely on it.
Yeah.
Although I haven't seen analytics on what his spin rate is before and after the crackdown. Who the hell knows?
Who knows?
DeGrom's just an overpowering pitcher. I don't think he cares. Look, like I said, if the Mets get back to their the two pitchers that they're hoping to get back, and they're even a portion of what their potential would be, right. I think the Mets become a completely different team just based on the fact that their starting rotation becomes one of the best in the league.
All right, real quickly, Yankees 18th in runs per game scored this season, 4.20.
Sure. Yeah, and they were probably close to the bottom for 2 months ago or a month and a half ago.
Yeah, but you know what? The bottom is 3.5.
What's the top?
Houston's on top at 5.62.
Yeah, so it's
Pittsburgh's on the bottom at 3. Now here's where this. Here, I'll say that Yankees are remarkably consistent home and away, 422 and 418. Last year they were at 5.39. The 29th team. Anybody want to guess who that is?
The 29th team
in runs scored this season.
The Arizona Diamondbacks.
No.
Colorado Rockies.
Arizona is 21st at 4.6. Colorado, no. Colorado is. Where are they?
Well, they're always going to be.
Colorado's just above the Yankees at 4.29.
Mm-hmm. Baltimore.
Nope. It is not a lousy team.
As far as we're talking about who has the least runs scored, it's got to be the Mets by a lot. Yeah.
They are 29.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago they were.
Yeah.
And then what are the Mets?
That's right. They only have 303 runs scored. Yeah.
What is their run differential this year? +5, +6,
+8.
+8.
Yeah, it's ridiculously.
But does that really mean anything anymore? Let me pull this up real quick because I was looking at this the other day. The National League West is crazy with the plus minus. I mean, so here we go. Yeah, the Mets are +8. So the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres are +103, 119, and +87.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the Mets are +8. The Yankees are at a 0. In the team with the biggest plus-minus differential in the National League East is the Miami Marlins. Mm-hmm. They're +22, and they're then 10 games under 500.
10 games under 500, 9 games behind the Mets, and they're and they have a +22 run differential.
So it really comes down to and that's why look, Houston's 20 games above 500 all of a sudden. They got off to a slow start. Maybe this is the year the A's win that division again. Houston's a good team, but they also, they score a lot of runs, but they have pretty decent pitching, and that's why they're
Yeah.
plus 140.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting because you look at the NL West and San Francisco, the Dodgers, and San Diego, 103, 119, 87. So in that case, the better teams are scoring a lot more
A
runs.
lot more runs, yeah.
But
The
then
Mets
you
are what we
look
said.
at
The Mets have played in 31 one-run games, and it wasn't a 10-9 game or a 15-14 game. It was a 2-1 game or a 3-2 game.
Look,
Right,
I mean, to put it in perspective, and I know the Yankees have played more games, but the Yankees have scored 50 more runs than the Mets. But they've also given up 50 more runs than the Mets.
Than the Mets, right? Yep. Yeah, you're right. 60 more runs than the Mets.
It's
almost.
timing.
So it doesn't always mean something, but
You have to win. You have to win series, and usually that means when you're 1 and 2 are starting, you have to score one more run than the other team. That's how you win in baseball.
That's it.
And occasionally, if you're number 3 or 4 or 5 can win, at the back end of a series, so be it. But you have to be able to score runs at least enough when your aces or your number 1 or 2 or at least top 3 are pitching.
Right.
I don't even know if that how many teams how many teams are 3 starters deep right now? When they're healthy, maybe the Dodgers. If the Mets get healthy, they certainly will be.
Sure.
Houston isn't anymore. I don't even know if Boston is when Sale comes back. I mean, everybody's sort of cobbling together wins, and we shall see.
Scratching them out is the way to do it.
Houston is basically 1 run higher than they were last year.
Yeah, Houston's really consistent.
Just freaking ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And they have really good hitters. They just know how to manufacture runs. They don't necessarily rely solely on the long ball. And you could talk about all the garbage can banging and everything else. They're still 20 games above 500, and I still say they're the team I do not want to face in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
Because they know how to hit the ball.
They do. They do know how to do that. That is for sure. I was going to bring up the All-Star rosters or whatever, but not to go crazy on them. But there was a couple of snubs, if you will. I don't think we need to go through the rosters, the starting rosters, and everything else. But there was a where is it? Where was I going? Here we go.
There was an article yesterday, I think, on ESPN. Right?
Yeah, the snubs, glowing snubs. Here we go. Chris Bassett from the A's, starting pitcher. Byron Buxton from the Twins, outfielder. Edwin Diaz. They're saying that he was snubbed. He should have been as a reliever. He's been doing
good.
He's been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
He should have been, yeah. But Tyler Glasnow from the Rays.
Gurriel. Gurriel from the Astros. We're just talking about the Astros.
Yuli Gurriel, yeah, from the Astros. Absolutely, he shouldn't have been. Manny Machado was left off. Whit Merrifield.
He's having a pretty good year. I mean, people have forgotten about him.
Whit Merrifield, Yohan Moncada from the White Sox, Freddie Peralta.
How about Max Scherzer?
Max Scherzer, another name. Yeah, and Justin Turner too. Justin Turner's having a decent season. They were all left off.
I think Max
Not
Scherzer
everybody can go.
is statistically having his best season.
Well, he can go. He's not going to play or anything, but
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean.
take hop up flight to
The roster can only be so big.
Exactly. So,
Look, the good thing about this All-Star game is if you look at the All-Star lineup, if you're a casual baseball fan and you don't really follow it, there's a lot of guys that people might be turning on for the first time and seeing.
mm-hmm.
There's a lot of new names here. There's a lot of young blood in baseball. And I think that's a good thing. And look, baseball has become a very it's become much more diverse. The Latin player is dominating the Major League Baseball, and I think that that's a good thing for reaching out to a broad section internationally of baseball fans, and I think that's what you're starting to see.
Right. You're right. Whatchamacallit? Here's something that's not shocking, obviously, at this point because we've talked about it so many times. But something's going to happen in the All-Star game this year. That's
Every inning there's going to be 2 guys on second base.
That's a first. Yeah, no, they're going to start every inning with the bases loaded. Is what they're going to do. Now, is that the starting DH for the American League and the starting pitcher for the American League are the same person.
Same guy, yeah.
So.
Yeah, listen, we should feel lucky that we get to watch Shohei Ohtani. I hope he stays great. Healthy and sticks around because we're getting to see stuff that you just don't get to see.
He's great, and he deserves all the accolades he's getting, but man, Major League Baseball is milking this.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they are.
A little bit.
Well, look, he hit, 32nd or 33rd
I would like to say he got shellacked by the New York Yankees. Of course, I think that was the game that they decided to give it right back to the Angels. But
yeah, right. But so I think that's the record for a Japanese-born player in a single season. I think it is. I think you're right. Yeah. Little kind of record there. So sorry, Hideki Matsui, who's actually one of the Yankees I like.
Yep, absolutely.
But excited to. I'm excited to see Shohei Ohtani. I'm not going gaga, but I mean, it's really cool to see somebody doing stuff that nobody else does or has done or hasn't done in a long time.
You're right.
And also, speaking of the All-Star game, Joey Gallo.
Going
to hit. They announced, I think, today, right? A couple of hours ago. So add him to the list. That'd be exciting.
That would be good. That would be absolutely right. All right. I have our quiz for this week. You want
the quiz?
Quiz. Got to do a drop for that. The quiz. Something.
Beaten by the quiz.
Beaten by the quiz. Let's see what you can do. Here we go. All right. Which team was the best? All right. We'll do. Who wants to go first?
I think Pete always goes first.
I'll go first.
You go.
We have a format. Let's stick to it.
Which team was the best? Here we go. The 1969 Mets, the 1986 Mets, or the 2000 Mets? Which team was the best team?
Well, that does depend on your criteria, of course.
Now, don't just pick because of like winning a World Series. Obviously, the 2000.
No, that's what I mean.
That should have nothing to do with it.
Right? Don't. Well, no, it's not the point. I just mean the actual play of the team and everything else. Just regardless.
That's what I'm saying. Depending on what your criteria is,
right? It's if it's the won a World Series against the toughest team, obviously you go with the '86 Mets. But whatchamacallit? No, you want to, or if you won it the most decisively, you go with the '69 Mets. You wouldn't go with the 2000 Mets because they didn't win.
My opinion is the '69 Mets were a far inferior team to both the 2000 and '86 Mets. As
maybe
not pitching wise, but certainly lineup wise.
Yeah, but you could also make the argument that overcoming that.
Oh yeah, it's the big. I mean, it's the most exciting team.
They were the best team. Again, not the
right. And they beat the Orioles, who were perennial World Series, contestants.
Yeah,
4-1. So I mean,
and then
had some
2000 team. I mean, that was a good defensive team.
Sure. And they should have won at least, and we all know they should have won at least one more game in that series. But Mr. Benitez is a dick. But anyway,
and listen, they had a shot to end the argument of who's the best New York team. At least for a while, had they won that series.
It would have probably lasted about 4 months before spring training started. So, but
listen, still to this day, we'd be able to lord that over, right?
Yeah. But
that could have been.
We'd only be at 27. Yeah,
could have been the Yankees fans.
27-1. We would 2. We would be
no, but the argument against that would have been, but we beat you.
Right. Yeah, but we destroyed you. The Yankees destroyed them.
I know, but they didn't. That's what I'm saying. It could have been the Yankee fans.
Could have been. It wasn't.
But it wasn't. It wasn't.
It wasn't even close.
That team had a shot at it. But
Mike Piazza shit his pants.
86 was. I mean, those guys were vagabonds and drug users.
Yeah, they were great. They were like the
makes you think,
Raiders
right?
of the 70s.
It makes you think. So what? So which is the best team? Was it the 69 Mets, the 86 Mets, or the 2000 Mets?
I think I'm going to go 86 because of the people on it.
That's the right answer.
They did have a great result. And when you think about great Mets,
right?
The 69 team probably comes in second place for that. But though that team is the team that people think of and the great players on it. So
how many Mets are in the Hall of Fame? Right.
There are 2 Mets there are 4 Mets in the Hall of Fame. There are 2 players. There are 2 players in the Hall of Fame.
Right. But there's an additional one who did not go in as a Met.
Didn't go in as a
on
Met,
that team.
Right, exactly.
So, arguably, two of the best Mets of all time were on that 86 team. Arguably, 4 of the top 10 Mets of all time were on that.
Yes,
team.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's
Those
are the guys that you remember.
And if it wasn't for the drug use, two other of those Mets would have roller skated into the Hall of Fame.
I'm sort of counting them in there.
Right.
I mean, I'm saying
I'll get there eventually.
If you take Carter and you take what's his name at first base, and then you take Strawberry and
Hernandez.
Keith Hernandez. Those are 4 of the top 10, if not 4 of the top 8 Mets of all time. I mean, and then who was on this? Who was on the pitching staff in '86?
It's a pretty decent pitching.
Yeah,
So you're going with 86. I think.
I gotta say 86. That's the team you go. Oh, they had this guy and this guy and this guy.
I would have to agree with that. All right, let's switch it over to Harry now. Harry, which team was the best? 1954 Yankees, the 1977 Yankees,
or 1998,
or the 1998 Yankees?
Yeah. Sentimentally, the 77 Yankees are my favorite, but they were good. They were great. But statistically, I mean, with the exception of Guidry, which probably was maybe the Yankees' best season by a starting pitcher, but he faltered a little bit. He wasn't as dominant in the postseason. I know, God, it's not that team, even though that's my favorite team.
Right.
God, I think you got to look at that 98 team and just say, I think you can't go wrong with either one, but that 98 team not only won a lot of games and won them convincingly, they
won 114 games that year.
They beat a lot of good teams on the way and did it in very convincing manner. How many games did they lose in the postseason total? 4?
Was it even that many?
I don't even think it was
3?
that many.
Was it like 2?
I think it was 3. I think it was 3.
3.
3. Yeah.
And we're talking about an expanded, playoff format compared to the 77 or 54 team. So I
54, there was just the World Series. That was it.
I think that 98 team stacks up really well. And the thing with that 98 team is a lot of the guys that you don't think about, because wasn't Luis Sojo on that team, and
sure.
They had guys who's really stepped up and played big time, much like the 77, 78 Yankees did, obviously. But and 54 was just that, lineup that if you look at it, you just be like, oh God, this is amazing.
Right.
But when you're talking about the 98 team, that was a really, really, really good team, and their pitching was incredibly dominant.
Yeah,
because it was not Cone, Wells, Pettit.
Wells, Pettit,
Wetland, and Rivera, right, in 98, or was Wetland?
Yeah. No, Wetland was gone. It was
Wetland was gone. But yeah, and they had a great. I forget who the middle reliever was, but he was phenomenal. I mean, it was a dominant performance, and there were some good teams that they beat along the way that year. So I'm gonna go 98. I just think that they were a more dominant team.
There you go. All right, I would tend to agree with that as well. I have another. You can make it a quick one, just something to think about. Teams for the Mets and the Yankees. We'll do Pete first. Teams that lost the championship series. Which team was better? You can make it a quick one. The 88 Mets, the 99 Mets, or the 06 Mets?
Can you pick the 2000 Mets?
Well, no. The Mets won the championship series in 2000. So.
The championship series teams.
Championship series.
Not World Series.
NLCS.
Yeah.
They lost the NLCS.
Yeah.
The 88 Mets.
What were the 3 years?
The 88 Mets lost to the Dodgers 4-3. The 99 Mets lost to the Braves 4-2, and the 06 Mets lost to the Cardinals 4-3. So,
what was the question? Which was the most heartbreaking?
Which one gave you more agita?
Which one gave you more agita?
Which team?
06.
What was the best team?
Yeah, 06. What was the best? What was the best team? That was the question.
That was the best team.
Oh, because that 98 team. Expectations were high, but
I think the 06 expectations were even higher.
Yeah, the 06 team should have roller skated through the World Series. They should have swept the
06.
Yeah, they should have beaten the Cards, and they should have swept the Tigers in the World Series. There's no question there. I have to agree with that too. Although the 99 team that was the best infield ever in baseball too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
still to this day, if you look at all the stats.
Who's that? Who's that?
Olerud at first. Edgardo
Alfonso at second.
At second. Ray Ordonez at short, and Robin Ventura at third.
Oh, Robin Ventura, that's right.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
Robin Ventura
I'm looking at this
started
98 Yankee
shortstop?
team.
98 Yankee team was. I mean, look at some of the people that were coming off the bench or platooning. You had Tim Raines, who I think hit like 315 in the postseason that year. You had wasn't David Justice on the 98 team?
David Justice was, I believe, on the 98 team. Yeah.
You had of course Paul O'Neill, Bernie Williams,
Shane Spencer, Tim Raines, Ramiro Mendoza.
That's your middle relief.
That's the middle.
Mike
guy was
Lowell.
lights out.
Yeah. Ricky Leday, Chuck Knobloch.
Always Ricky Leday with
Ricky Leday.
Arabu, Darren Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Duque, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Strawberry on that
Chili
team?
Davis. Strawberry was on that
Strawberry
team.
was on that team, yeah.
Strawberry,
Chili
Davis.
Davis.
Gooden was only on the
Curtis.
96 World Series team, but Strawberry was there for
Scotty
both of those.
F. and Brocious.
They were deep, man. And then
Scotty
guys like Soho and Brocious and they just were clutch.
Yeah.
They were
Mike
just
Stanton. Remember him?
Posada was on that team too. So
Yep.
Posada, sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and look at the rotation that year. I mean, your fourth best pitcher was what's his name? David Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then Girardi, of course, on the team.
Yeah, Girardi was still on the team.
Girardi was still on the team, yeah. But anyway, and then I'll give you yours,
Okay.
Harry.
This is American League Championship. Bonds.
Lost American League Championship Series, yeah.
Okay.
Now, mind you, the Yankees.
There's a lot to choose from.
I'm thinking about what my answer is going to be.
The Yankees. Here's the thing, and I'll explain it afterwards. But the Yankees have only lost 6 championship series. And if you go all the way back, I mean, the American League Championship Series only started,
1912.
The championship series only started in the 70s.
I know.
Late 70s. Right?
70s. So the 3 World Series they were in.
American League Championships. They've only
The 3 World
Championship
Series. The 3 World Series they were in the 70s, 76 that they lost to the Reds, and then 77, 78. Those were the first championship series they were in. So 1980 Yankees that lost to the Royals.
That was Winfield and Mattingly, right?
3-0. No, Mattingly. They weren't on the team yet.
Okay. Who was 80? Oh, that was the last year that Reggie was there before he went to the Angels.
Before he went out to the Angels, yeah.
That was, and then Winfield came the next year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the 80 Yankees, the 04 Yankees, which is obvious.
Who'd they lose to Seattle?
The 04 Yankees.
Yeah.
They lost. They lost to Seattle. Yeah. No. That would be the Red Sox. They lost to the Red Sox.
I know.
And the 2017 Yankees that lost to the Astros. And the reason I gave you those 3 is because the other 4, the other 3, I'm sorry, ALCSs that they lost were the 2010 to the Rangers and the 2012 to the Tigers, and that was essentially the same team as the 2000, with some minor changes. That was essentially the same team as the 2004 with some minor differences, if you will. The core was the same, and then the 2019 one to the Astros. That was the
2017.
The same team as the 2017.
2019.
19, yeah. So the 1980, 2004, or 2017.
Well, those.
Obviously, the heartbreaking one obviously is 04, but what was the best team?
The 19 team that lost, I know it's not one of our options. That was sort of an odd season, and who knows what was really doing. So I think 04. I mean, especially with the way in which it went down. I mean, that team should have won it all, and it just wasn't meant to be. Yeah. But that was the most talented out of all those teams.
Okay. All right. So then we have our answers there, and we'll put these. These will be up on Facebook and Instagram too. You can comment in and let us know your picks for these as well. All right. Shall we do our top 10?
Why not?
Why the hell not? All right. Our top 10 tonight, folks, is top 10. Let me put it up here. Hold on.
Ambidextrous pitchers.
Top 10 ambidextrous pitchers that pitched.
I thought it was amphibious pitcher.
Amphibious. I'm sorry.
Amphibious.
Let me quickly revise.
Amphibious ambidextrous pitchers that pitched during the 1951 season in Tahiti. That's it. That's right.
Amphibian.
Exactly.
Only during day games.
Only during day games.
Well, if you're amphibian, it's hard to see it, man.
Gotta love it. Folks, it's a top 10 baseball movies of all time. Top 10 baseball movies of all time. Apparently, I capitalized the F in of. I don't know why, but there you go. Top 10 baseball movies of all time. And, of course, in true logarum. It's no more logarum. In true Get On With It podcast fashion, we have 18 movies. So we'll get started on them right away. These will be
drum roll. Number 18.
Number 18. No, there's a four-way tie for 10th, a four-way tie for 6th, and a three-way
tie for last,
and a three-way tie for 4th. So here we go. We'll kick it off with the first one of the number 10s, and then Pete can talk about this one a little bit. The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. Folks, this is a 1976 American sports comedy film about a team of individuals playing in the era of racial segregation. It starred Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, Richard Pryor, Tony Burton, Stan Shaw, and it was released on July 16th, 1976. Pete, this was yours. This was your baby. So
great movie. Saw this as a kid. Probably watched it, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. And great cast, kind of underrated. Surprised that at least one of you guys had never heard of it.
No, actually never did.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch it now. I am actually going to watch this.
Yeah, it's good movie, a lot of fun. You know, a couple of poignant moments, and most things worked out well.
There you go.
Not every single thing, but.
So number 1 of the 4 number 10s.
It's Darren Aronofsky's first film, right?
Sure. Was it? Sure. Absolutely.
Or is this a Tarantino joint?
That was a Tarantino.
I don't think it was a Tarantino joint. There wasn't enough blood.
Wasn't enough motherfuckers in it?
No, not at all. So tied for number 10, the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. Also tied for number 10, Everybody Wants Some. I forgot the 2 exclamation points in the film, too. Everybody Wants Some. It was a 2016 American teen comedy film written by Richard Linklater. It starred,
great director.
Starred Blake Jenner, Zoe Deutsch, Ryan Guzman, Tyler Hoechlin, I'm assuming, and a couple others and everything else. Anyway, it was about a college baseball team, players, I should say, in the 1980s in Texas. So this was your baby, Harry. Why don't you tell us about it?
Oh, I thought it was I just thought I liked the Van Halen song, so I figured I'd pick this. It's kind of like the Dazed and Confused of baseball movies.
Okay.
You know, I think it captures that era
Good one.
really well. And, you know, it was his second film. And after Richard Linklater's first film, they thought, well, you know, this was kind of a lighthearted affair for him. But it's just one of those films. I think it's really well done. I think it is truly an ensemble cast. And it's in the 70s, man. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's a good story, which happens to revolve around baseball. But it's a good film nonetheless.
Yes. All right, there you go. Also tied for 10. Everybody Wants Some. Our third number 10, Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year was a 1993 American sports comedy film starring Thomas Ian Nichols and Gary Busey as players for the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, Gary Busey.
Before
the head injuries, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, before. Yeah. Daniel Hedaya and Daniel Stern were in the movie as well. It was released on July 9th, 1993. It was about what was his name? Rowan Gardner. Henry Rowan Gardner.
Henry Rowan. Rowan Bummer.
It was an unskilled.
Can never get his name right.
It was an unskilled little leaguer who dreamt of playing in the major leagues. He broke his arm catching a fly ball, and the doctors removed the cast. His tendons had healed a little too tight. So he was able to throw with incredible force. So the Cubs signed him, and he became the pitcher for the Cubs. So it was a cute movie. You might know Thomas Ian Nicholas, who was Rowan Gardner. He actually played in the American Pie films as well. So
sure. Wilford Brimley was the catcher.
Wilford Brimley was the catcher that year. Absolutely was. Yes.
Yeah, this is a cute film. It was a little too Hollywood at the end for me, but that kind of kept it off my list. But it was good movie to watch.
I'm pretty sure John Candy was the announcer.
He was
too. Yeah. So there you go. Henry's first game was a relief appearance against the Mets too. So I want to point that out as well. Yeah. So anyway, Rookie of the Year type.
Yeah, when he throws that the home run ball in from the left field bleachers all the way down to home plate.
He threw a strike to home plate from the left field bleachers.
That's a great moment.
That was good. So
it's a cute movie.
It is. Rookie of the Year. There you go. All right. And our fourth number 10 was Summer Catch. This was a cute movie. This was pretty good. It was a 2001 American romantic comedy film starring Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jessica Biel. 2000. It was released August 24th, 2001. It's about minor leagues out in the Cape. So it has a lot to do with that. It's just one of those movies that makes you think baseball. Even though it's a lot more to the plot with a love story and everything else like that. But Freddie Prinze was he pitching in that? I believe. I think he was.
I think I saw maybe part of it. It sounds familiar, but I don't think I ever.
It was in the Cape Cod Baseball League. So anyway,
the vaunted Cape Cod Baseball League.
The vaunted Cape Cod Baseball League. There you go.
We're talking the guy from Chico and the Man.
His son.
Oh.
His son. Yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. Not Freddie Prinze. Yeah. So there you go. Also tied for 10, Summer Catch. All right, we're moving on to number 9. Number 9 is The Rookie. It's 2002 American sports drama film. Was produced by Walt Disney Pictures, starring Dennis Quaid, Rachel Griffiths, Jay Hernandez, and Brian Cox. Was released on March 29th, 2002. It's about a high school baseball coach, that he promised his team that he would try out for, at 35, he'd try out for the major leagues if his team won. And they did, and it's a true story, too, of a guy named Jim Morris, who debuted in Major League Baseball at age 35. So
Young guy.
Yep, absolutely. The Rookie, number 9. All right. Let's move on to number 8. Number 8 is Fever Pitch. Again, it was released as The Perfect Catch outside the United States, but it's a 2005 American romantic comedy film directed by the Farrelly brothers, starring Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon. Was released on April 6, 2005 in Boston and April 8th, 2005 everywhere else in the United States. It's about a guy who's a teacher, falls in love with a woman, obviously Drew Barrymore or whatever, and he's just a diehard Red Sox fan and has to be at every game, has season tickets, who's been doing it since he was a kid and his uncle took him. And, what's ironic about the film is they filmed it during the 2004 season. So they had obviously no idea that the Red Sox were obviously going to beat the Yankees and then the Mariners, right? Yeah.
You just have to substitute Mariners.
Mariners for
you can't
for
say
Yankees.
Red Sox and Yankees.
Say Red Sox and Yankees in the same sentence, right? Yeah.
One of them has to be the Mariners,
and then go on and beat the Cardinals. But they actually had to refilm the end of the movie to account for that. So it was pretty interesting.
They did. Big Papi made a cameo, didn't he, as Drew Barrymore's dad?
Yeah, he did. No. He whatchamacallit? He no, there was a bunch of Red Sox that made cameos. There was Johnny Damon was in it. Verlander was in it, I believe. A couple others. They made a couple of cameos in it. They filmed it live. A couple of things in a lot of it was filmed live in Fenway, and they were in a bunch of scenes too. So it was a pretty fun movie. So there you go.
Yeah, number 8. I hated this movie.
Yeah,
Pitch.
Me too.
There you go.
Garbage.
Well, I don't know how it got to number 8. It's just a swarmy, wooden performances by the players.
It was more the baseball part, not the love story part.
Not the Jimmy Fallon part.
Not the Jimmy Fallon part, right?
Yeah, I don't have Jimmy Fallon in it.
There you go. All right, number 7, 42.
That's 2 strikes right there.
Yeah. That's right. Siskel and Ebert both hated it, but Ebert's friend really loved it.
So we're on number 7. You're still talking about number 8. There you go.
Mr. 7.
Mr. 7 this week.
Mr. 7 this week.
Mr. 7 is 7
42.
times 6.
Number 42 this week is no. Mr. 7 this week is 42. The film 42 is a 2013 American biographical sports film about baseball player Jackie Robinson. We all know about Jackie Robinson. I don't have to tell you about him. It was released on April 12th, 2013. It starred Chadwick Boseman, Harrison Ford, Nicole Beharie, I believe is how you pronounce it. Christopher Maloney was in it.
Christopher Walken played Jackie Robinson.
Christopher Walken played. I need more cowbell. Christopher Walken played Ty Cobb. There you go.
I can't seem to hit the ball.
He's throwing it too fast.
There you go.
Did I get myself some new shoes?
There you go. So, in any event,
I used to be a dancer before I was an actor.
Before I was in this film.
That's right. God, I'd love to remake this with Christopher Walken.
It would be awesome. We should do that. Christopher Walken stars as Jackie Robinson.
Brilliant. Anybody out there wants to make this?
We will
we'll write the script.
We'll write it. You film it, please. You just got to get.
It's a different Jackie Robinson, obviously. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, no, totally different. 100%.
We would not want to tarnish the actual reputation.
Not at all.
Of Jackie
No. It's just a completely different movie.
Our humor has nothing to do with Jackie Robinson. Please understand that.
All right, number 7, Mr. 7.
Mr.
7, 42. There we go. All right. Number 6 is one of 4 films tied for number 6, and we're going to start out with Little Big League. This was actually a decent movie. Again, a cute movie.
I don't think I ever saw it.
1994 American family sports film about a 12-year-old who suddenly becomes the owner and then the manager of the Minnesota Twins baseball team. Stars Luke Edwards, Timothy Busfield, and Dennis Farina.
Timothy Busfield. Wow.
Timothy Busfield, yeah.
So that's a 90s beard. If you ever...
Timothy Busfield. Well, Timothy Busfield's actually in another movie on this list, too, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Good for Timothy Busfield.
John Ashton was in it, Kevin Dunn, Jason Robards. It actually starred a bunch of former players from baseball, and they had a lot of current players at the time in '94 in as cameos. They were there was a lot of
the
players.
Twins didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, Paul O'Neill was in the movie.
Did he ever play for the Twins?
No. When they played the Yankees, he was in the movie.
I know he played for the Reds.
Right.
Did he just go to the Twins just to be in Little Big League?
Ken Griffey Jr. was in the movie when they played the Mariners.
That's right. And the entire rest of the 30-something cast was
exactly. In it. Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly.
That's a Timothy Busfield joke.
Dave Magadan was in the movie. So, and that was just prior to going to the Mets, or just post going to the Mets, I forget. But anyway, oddly enough, the kid's mother was played by Ashley Crow, and she's actually the mother of one of the Mets' top prospects, Pete Crow Armstrong, right now. So,
alrighty, well,
so she has experience in being a baseball mom. So
there you go.
There you go. All right, number 6, tied for number 6, Little Big League. There you go. Also tied for number 6, Moneyball. Moneyball is a 2011 American biographical sports drama film directed by Bennett Miller and written by Steven Zalian, I suppose, and Aaron Sorkin. It's based on Michael Lewis's 2003 nonfiction book of the same name. It's
based on the true story of Jonah Hill becoming a relief pitcher for the Oakland A's.
For Jonah Hill becoming a relief pitcher for the Oakland A's, right? It's an account of the Oakland Athletics baseball team. I can speak. 2002 season and their general manager Billy Bean's attempt to assemble a competitive team with barely any money. So it was released on September 9th, 2011. And starred Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, and Philip Seymour Hoffman too was in the movie.
And Timothy Busfield is Philip Seymour Hoffman
Jr.
Timothy Busfield played Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is a pretty good movie.
It is a great movie.
It took a few liberties, but this is a movie I haven't actually seen a lot.
Right.
I've seen it a couple of times, but every time I see it, I appreciate it a little bit more.
Brad Pitt actually produced
it. Billy Ball. I mean, this was all the rage, and I mean, look, the Oakland A's are still kind of doing this. They're still winning.
Competitive team with no money.
Wins per dollar. They're always leading the league.
Absolutely. So there you go. Also tied for number 6, Moneyball. The third number 6, if you will, is Pride of the Yankees. This is a throwback. It's going back to it's a 1942 American film produced by Samuel Golden, starring. It's a tribute to legendary New York Yankees first baseman Lou Gehrig, and who died only 1 year before its release at age 37. And it starred Gary Cooper,
And
Teresa
Babe
White,
Ruth.
and Walter Brennan.
And Babe Ruth as himself.
Babe Ruth played himself in the movie. Yes, he did.
That's right. And Timothy Busfield.
Timothy Busfield as an embryo. It was
actually his dad, Anthony Busfield.
That's right. That's right.
Was the ball boy in this.
Timothy Busfield as Yogi Berra.
Exactly. It was released on, when was it released? It was released on July 14th, 1942.
42. Wow,
42.
geez.
There you go.
Never saw it.
There you go. So,
Gary Cooper, great actor. Man,
Yeah,
that guy's
absolutely.
They don't make him like that anymore.
no, they don't.
Or Lou Gehrig.
Yeah,
Or Timothy Busfield.
Right, exactly. And Timothy Busfield was a hell of a first baseman for the Twins in that
He
movie.
was.
He really was.
He had the best sweaters on television in the 90s, and that's saying a lot since Cosby was still around.
This is true. This is true. Also tied for sixth is Pride of the Yankees. All right. And rounding out the number sixes for tonight, The Sandlot.
Mr. Six.
Mr. Six.
666.
The Sandlot. The Sandlot's 1993 American coming-of-age sports comedy film co-written and directed and narrated by David Mickey Evans. Tells the story of a group of young baseball players during the summer of '62, and it stars Tim Geary, I'm assuming that's how you say it, Mike Vitar, Karen Allen, Dennis Leary, and James Earl Jones.
That's right. I forgot Dennis Leary was in this. Very young Dennis Leary.
James Earl Jones is in 3 of our top.
That's right.
movies.
James Earl Jones plays Dennis Leary.
Plays Timothy Busfield.
That's right.
This movie. So, this is the movie where "You're Killing Me, Smalls" comes from. There
That's
you go.
right. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. It was released on April 7th, 1993. And it was it's a good movie.
It's one of those if you're flipping through and it comes on. I mean, a lot of these movies are you leave it.
Most of them,
at least for a while. There's everyone.
I think a lot of the country doesn't even know what a sandlot is. You know, this
Right.
is sort of inner city baseball.
Sure. It was released in some countries as the Sandlot Kids, not just the
Well,
Sandlot.
of course.
There you go. Right. So number 6, our last number 6, if you will, the Sandlot. All right, moving on.
Our first number 5.
Our only number 5.
Oh, excellent.
And we only have one, is The Natural. This is a 1984 American sports film based on Bernard Malamud's 1952 novel of the same name, directed by Barry Levinson, starring Robert Redford, Glenn Close, and Robert Duvall. It was released on May 11th, 1984. Who else was in it? Let's see. Kim Basinger was in it.
Joe Don Baker.
Wilford Brimley was in the movie.
Timothy Busfield.
And Joe Don Baker is the whammer.
Jill
That's right.
Don Baker, yep.
This was my number 1. I know there are a lot of people, or some people anyway, who bash this movie. They say it was smarmy or whatever. It was too.
They changed the book. The book was very different than the film.
They took a lot of liberties.
That was a criticism too.
They took a lot
I never
of
read
liberties,
the book. To me, the film is just brilliant looking. It's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
This is I don't know. This is a film. If I'm flipping and it's on, I'm watching it to the end, and I've probably seen it a bunch of. I won't, put it in. I don't own the anniversary DVD or anything like that. But this was my number 1. I don't know. It's just there's just so many good things about it.
Yeah,
I don't care what other people say.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But yeah, it is a good movie. That it is. And like I said, and Wilford Brimley's in it. Barbara Hershey's in it. There's a pretty decent cast in this movie. But it was
nice patch, Olson. Why don't you try putting it over your eye?
There you go. It was a good film. So number 5, The Natural. Let's move on to, we have 3 number 4s. So we'll start with the first one. Bad News Bears. And folks, we can't stress this enough, the original 1976 film, The Bad News Bears. 1976 American comedy film directed by Michael Ritchie and written by Bill Lancaster. Not Burt Lancaster. Bill Lancaster. Right. Stars Walter Matthau as an alcoholic ex-baseball pitcher who becomes a coach for a youth baseball team known as the Bears. Alongside Matthau, the film's cast includes Tatum O'Neal, Vic Morrow, Joyce Van Patten, Ben Piazza, Jackie Earl Haley, and Alfred W. Luter. It was released on April 7th, 1976, and this was a movie that I watched a lot back then. It was a good movie.
I just watched it the other day. It was on, and I don't think they could. It
would never get made today.
Would get made today, and
Nope,
that's.
it wouldn't.
But this was I think
this was your number one, wasn't it?
My number one. This is one of my favorite films of all time. It's right up there with Slapshot as my number one sports movie of all time, and it's just really, really well done. And Walter Matthau is absolutely amazing in this. And I will say this: the remake of it, Billy Bob Thornton was great, but the original is still just.
It's perfect.
Fantastic.
There's nothing. You can't change anything to it.
It's just a great film, and it's not trying to be slick. It's really rough around the edges. It does not hide anything. It's warts and all. None of it is politically correct. It's the most politically incorrect film of all time.
Oh, no. There's a couple of films that are more politically incorrect than this.
Well, but
it's probably the most politically incorrect baseball film. Let's put it that way.
Well, some of the quote, but I think what makes it even more worse is that you got 11 and 12-year-old kids saying these lines.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right.
And I also think that it was one of the first films really to say, you know what? At this age, a lot of times the best player on your team is a girl.
Yeah.
And is a female, and she's a lot smarter and a lot better than anybody else on the team. And this movie, I think, tackles that issue in a way that you saw. I mean, you always see that at this time. There's always that one girl is just striking out the side in a Little League game.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. It's just, it's a fantastic film.
It is.
And no Hollywood ending either.
No.
Right. If you haven't seen it, sorry if I ruined it for you.
Yeah. Well, you're not elaborating what you mean by that, so.
Well, what
I might gather something from it, but you still didn't really ruin it for anybody.
No, that's and listen, I don't dislike every film where everything turns out okay, but I definitely have more affection for films where there's a sense of reality, where it fits the story better,
right?
When everything doesn't work out okay.
Sure, absolutely, I agree. So the number one of our number fours, 1976 version of the Bad News Bears. All right. Moving on to the next number four, it would be 8 Men Out. 8 Men Out is a 1988 American sports drama film based on Elliot Osinoff's 1963 book, 8 Men Out, the Black Sox in the 1919 World Series. It was written by John Salas, and it's a dramatization of Major League Baseball's Black Sox scandal, which 8 members of the Chicago White Sox conspired with gamblers to intentionally lose the 1919 World Series. Much of the movie was filmed at the Old Busch Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was starring John Cusack, John Mahoney, Michael Rooker, Clifton James, Michael Lerner. Christopher Lloyd was in the movie. Charlie Sheen was in the movie. David Strathairn was in the movie, and D.B. Sweeney.
Timothy Busfield.
He was not. No.
The ghost of Timothy Busfield.
Exactly. And it was released September 2nd, 1988. There you go. 8 Men Out. Good movie. I always say this, you got to watch it. A little slow going in the beginning, but stick with it. About half an hour or so into it, it'll start to.
You got to get through about the first 35 or 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But
it's worth it.
You have to, and it helps if you're interested in the subject matter.
Sure, absolutely.
And of course, it's a movie, so they take some liberties. But if you will get some education.
You will.
What actually happened during that scandal. It is not completely fabricated. It is not completely Hollywoodized or anything like that.
Absolutely.
It's not a documentary by any means, but it's I think it's a very underrated film.
I think it went really under the radar when it came out. It's sort of grown in its reputation since the release. I mean, I don't ever remember it coming out in the theaters. Of course, that doesn't mean much. I wasn't really paying attention, but having seen it multiple times since, I thought it was a great film.
Yeah, I think the slow start kind of put a damper on things. I'm sure the critics. I don't think the critics thought very much of it.
I agree. And had they released it in the spring of '88, might have been better because they released it right at the beginning of football season. In '88. So not that should matter, but I'm not saying it's a joke. I'm serious.
That's right. It just needed It needed a jaunty little number by Bryan Adams or
Everything I Do, I Did for the Gamblers.
Kenny Loggins or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Second number 4, 8 Men Out. And our third number 4, but by no means last number 4, could have been higher. Really great movie, A League of Their Own. right there. It was a 1992 American sports comedy drama film, or a dramedy, if you will. That
Pretty
tells
star-studded cast.
Absolutely. Tells a fictionalized account of the real-life All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. It was directed by Penny Marshall and starred Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, and Lori Petty. It was also starred, who else? John Lovitz was in it. David Strathairn, who was also
in a couple.
Who was also in 8 Men Out. Gary Marshall was in it. Bill Pullman was in it. It was released July 1st, 1992. Again, it told the story of the Rockford Peaches of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, and how the league came into existence, and everything that it's obviously taking some liberties. It was a fictionalized account of it, but it was a really good movie, and Tom Hanks played a great role in that movie.
Tia Leone
was in that movie. Yes, she was. Right. It was one of her first movies, I believe.
She's without a doubt the best-looking first baseman I've ever seen in baseball.
I have to concur. Timothy Busfield is a close second.
I mean, Eddie Murray was hot, but no, he was not Tia Leone hot.
He wasn't Tia Leone.
He wasn't.
But she was not a part-time DH. So
she was not a part-time DH. This is true. So she just played every day at first base. There you go. In a skirt, even. So I've only seen Eddie Murray play a couple of times in a skirt.
Well, only in Cleveland.
Only in Cleveland, right? Exactly. So our third number 4, a league of their own. All right, we got to the top 3, folks. We got through it. We got through 15 already. So number 3.
How many top 3s are there?
No more ties. We got 3, 2, 1 right here. Top 3. Number 3 is Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams was a 1989 American sports fantasy drama film written and directed by Phil Alden Robinson, adapting a W.P. Kinsella's 1982 novel Shoeless Joe. The film starred Kevin Costner, Amy Madigan, James Earl Jones. There we go. James Earl Jones' third movie on this list. Ray Liotta and Burt Lancaster. And it was Burt Lancaster's final film role.
Ray Liotta is a baseball player.
Ray Liotta plays Shoeless Joe Jackson in this movie.
Of course, yeah.
And you know who else was in this movie too, right?
Timothy Busfield.
Timothy Busfield. Timothy Busfield was in this movie. Yes, he was.
He played.
And it's
he played Gary Carter.
He played, yeah. Of course, if you don't know the movie, and I'm not sure why you wouldn't, even if you haven't seen it, you must have heard something about it. It was, if you build it, he will come. He builds Ray Kinsella was Kevin Costner's character. He builds a baseball field in the middle of his cornfield, and all these passed on baseball stars start showing up, and he has to go on a road trip to find James Earl Jones in Boston, and all the other happiness ensues and everything else. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. This was my number 1 movie, and this is really odd too. Pete's number 1 movie was The Natural. Harry's number 1 movie was Bad News Bears, and my number 1 movie was Field of Dreams. It was 5, 4, and 3. All the number 2 and the number 1 movies on this list were not our number 1s, so that was pretty interesting. So. But I highly recommend it. If this is one of those movies, again, I don't like Pete said before, I don't own the anniversary edition DVD, but if this movie comes on, or even if I see it coming on, I watch it. I just watched it the other day. It was on. It's a great movie. I love it. Number 3, Field of Dreams. Bringing us to number 2. Number 2, obviously, you can't say anything about baseball movies without mentioning this one, Major League. Major League was
probably highest on our list than any other list.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, a lot of people have this on there.
Not by much.
I actually watched a couple of baseball stars, baseball players, stars,
stars
give their top 10 baseball movies, and almost every single one of them had Major League on it.
Yeah, none of them are sitting at home watching 8 Men Out.
No, not at all. This was a 1989 American sports comedy film produced by Chris Cheshire and Irby Smith, written and directed by David S. Ward. It starred Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes, James Gammon, Bob Uecker. Awesome in this movie. Loved it. Rene Russo, Dennis Haysbert. If you don't know Dennis Haysbert, just watch any Allstate commercial and you will know Dennis Haysbert. And Corbin Burnson. It was released on April 7th, 1989. And it was the the ragtag bunch that was thrown together for the Indians, and they had to win in order to stay in Cleveland because the owner's wife that inherited the team wanted to move to Miami, I believe. So, guys.
Oh, I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah,
it's the slap shot of baseball.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything.
And that's saying a lot.
Got some movies. Got some lines. Great lines from the movie. Quoted like constantly. I'm like just a bit outside. I would say, "Hey bartender, Joe Boo needs a refill." That's another line.
Yeah. There's a lot of great moments.
Probably the most watched film on this list. I bet more people have seen at least a part of this than any other film because it's always on.
Yeah, it is. It's you can watch it constantly. So there you go. Number 2, Major League, and the number 1 film on our list tonight. And it should be no surprise if you've been paying attention to the entire list. Bull Durham. Bull Durham is a 1988 American romantic comedy sports film, partly based upon the minor league baseball experiences of writer-director Ron Shelton, and depicts the players and fans of the Durham Bulls, a minor league baseball team in Durham, North Carolina. Stars Kevin Costner as Crash Davis. Also stars Tim Robbins as Ebby Kevin Nuke LaLoosh. And, of course, stars Susan Sarandon and Trey Wilson, Robert Wall. A lot of stars in this movie. It's a really good movie. It was released on June 15th, 1988. And one of the funniest scenes I like was when they're having the powwow on the mound and they're just out there forever. And the Robert Wall's one of the bench coaches. He comes out.
Robert
what are you
Wall.
doing? And he says he's going around talking. He says we're dealing with a lot of shit out here. So anyway, just a good movie. And it's one of 3 movies. Baseball movies that Kevin Costner is in. 2 of them on this list, obviously, the other one being Field of Dreams, that was just on. And, of course, For Love of the Game, I think was the other one.
In Waterworld, right?
Waterworld, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
they have an underlying baseball theme.
Underlying baseball theme. Underwater baseball theme, actually, right? So, anyway. So, guys, Bull Durham, anything?
I mean, 2 words, Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon. There you go.
She's amazing in this.
And it says one of the... No, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not a huge Kevin Costner guy, but he's good in this. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like this is more of an ensemble cast than it's credited for. But Susan Sarandon is amazing, and I think her character really captures what at least used to go on a lot in these small town minor league. The towns sort of revolve around these minor league teams, and it's no surprise that I think there's better drama when you're in these small towns and talking about, whether it's a minor league hockey or baseball team. It's more captivating because it's so much of the focus of what goes on culturally in these in these areas.
Probably yes, something that changes.
Right.
I mean, it comes around every year, but you have the baseball season and it's excitement and how are they going to do and this and that, and then the rest of the year you have whatever farming or mining or whatever else
is going on there. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Which is not the and it's got I forget who the forget the name of the actor who plays the manager.
That was Trey Wilson.
Well, okay.
Pretty.
This to me one of the best looks when. He says to Robert Wall, what's gotten into LaLoosh? And he goes, he's wearing garters and breathing out of his eyelids like a Galapagos lava lizard.
The lava lizard in the Galapagos Islands, yeah.
Yeah, just the look he gives him is just, it's a bit, right? It's like an old vaudeville classic comedy bit, that look. And it's one of the best ones ever done, captured on film. It
was really good, too. And Kevin Costner, comes out with one of the best lines about baseball, and you can't really deny that it's true. Baseball is an easy game. You throw the ball, you catch the ball, you hit the ball. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
There's not much more you can say about it. It's pretty cut it right down to bare bones with that.
Yeah.
So our number 1 movie on our top 18/10 list tonight, Bull Durham. There you go. All right. that brings us to
The end of the show, folks.
The end of the show. Now that brings us to our segment of Old Balls. Old Balls. Harry, tell us who this week's Old Balls recipient is.
Well, look, we wanted to fill this spot up. This isn't old, really, at all. But since we're talking about the best baseball movies of all time, I can honestly say this is one of the best TV series done in the last 5-10 years, and it just happens to be revolving around baseball. Sure. And it's none other than Brockmire, which is a comedy which stars Hank Azaria, which follows a Jim Brockmire, who is a famous Major League Baseball announcer who has a very public meltdown on the air and is forced to sort of start over again in the minor leagues, going to numerous small towns where he meets up with Amanda Pete's character, Jules James, who's the owner of the Morristown Frackers. And he also meets up with Charles, who's played by Tyrell Jackson Williams, who is the new generation of baseball and heads up the digital media and webcasts and things of that nature, which are entirely foreign territory for the very old school Jim Brockmire. This is, like I said, baseball aside, this is, I think, the funniest series I've watched on television in a very, very, very long time. It was a little bit short-lived. I think it sort of suffered a little bit in the last season, I think only because they had to scramble knowing that it was canceled. I don't think it got all of the it got great ratings, but it was pretty well critically reviewed. And Hank Azaria is one of these guys who I think is incredibly underrated. He's known more probably as a voice actor. I think he's probably voiced 25, 30 characters on The Simpsons. But he is excellent in this. Just absolutely excellent. It's raw. It's funny. It's incredibly, I think, shocking at times, especially in the first couple seasons. Yeah. And you don't really know where things are going to go. And it's real. And it's brutally real. And it's really well acted. It's got a pretty good cast of people. And and there's also a bunch of people who do guest spots as themselves, including a very self-deprecating Joe Buck and George Brett. So, it's worth checking out. I'd highly recommend it. And, we're talking about baseball movies. This isn't necessarily a movie, but it could certainly read as one. And it was,
it's much more than movies because each episode was an hour long, and there was 4 seasons with 8 or 10 episodes in each.
Yeah,
it was on IFC.
Yeah, it was on IFC. It was really well done. I think the character stemmed from a Funny or Die sketch that Hank Azaria did, based on this Jim Brockmire, who's this kind of old school baseball announcer. Who has that kind of classic, is it Southern, is it not, sort of baritone announcer voice, and he just does an incredible job in this. I wish it could have had a little bit of a better longevity and maybe had a slightly different story arc, but it's still worth watching. The first 3 seasons are absolutely spectacular.
They are. I watched them. I watched them when it was on, and I've watched them again since. It's really good. So this week's Old Balls. Old Balls. Brockmire. All right. Cool.
Jim Brockmire. He walks the line between caricature.
Oh yeah.
And he goes for that, that sound. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't step into the sound. Yeah. Exactly. He doesn't step into it so much that you go, oh, it's ridiculous.
Right.
He's a phenomenal performer.
He really is. And who's his favorite in real life? Who's his favorite baseball team?
Probably since he
was born.
Since it petered out right at the very end. I'm guessing he's a Mets fan.
He's a Mets fan. Yeah. since he was born in Queens, he's a Mets fan. Yeah, there you go. So.
Poor guy.
There you go. Jim Brockmire. And, Hank Azaria is a Mets fan. I don't know what Jim Brockmire is. Yeah. But, and by the way, I just want to make a note here. I'm wearing K-Rod's jersey. An idiot that I was. I didn't wear K-Rod's jersey last week when he was on our top 10.
Yeah, well,
K-Rod. Wasn't he played? He was played by Timothy Busfield.
He was played by Timothy Busfield in the 2014 season for the
That's right.
For the Mets. Right, exactly. So there you go. All right, let's move ahead, move on, if you will. I got like two quick things I want to mention for football, and then we could talk some NBA, if you will. Just want to say one thing. NFL analyst Greg Cosell. Cosell, not Cosell, but it's Cosell, I think, actually. It's pronounced. He was quoted as saying the Giants are the most balanced team in the NFC East. Thoughts?
Yeah. They have like the best balance between interceptions and fumbles.
Right, exactly.
Pretty even.
Overall, yeah, it's even.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, of all positions, play wise, and everything else.
Well, on paper.
Guys look good on paper.
Obviously, this is all on paper.
Ton of potential. It's just, do they have the guy under center who's going to put it together? Yeah. They could be pretty good this year.
Or they have the guy behind the clipboard who's going to put it all together too. Right. I'm not the lay down and kiss his foot to Joe Judge, and then this. I mean, I think the Giants have some issues, especially at the coordinator position, and I'm not sure this head coach is ripe for the NFL. But we'll see. The ownership has put some talent on the offensive side. They have probably collectively the best receiving core in the NFL. Okay. I mean, as a whole unit, now granted, there's some age there and some question marks and durability questions, but sure. They have who should be one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the league, especially with if he could stay healthy and stay upright. Supposedly, there's been some improvement on the offensive line. We shall see. We don't know. I think the biggest question marks are their offensive line, their defensive line, and this little position called quarterback. Other than that, they're pretty balanced.
Yeah, other than both sides of the ball, they're balanced.
Yeah, and in fact, I think they're the most unbalanced team because I think they're really good in certain areas, like wide receiver. But, it's like I have a really great car, but there's no gas available.
Right.
I think that there's a lot of question marks at the running back position. I don't think they're very deep there. I think there's question marks and potential at the offensive line, but I don't think anybody's expecting the offensive line to produce 3 Pro Bowlers.
Right.
I think some of the improvements they made at tight end might help that situation a little bit now that they actually have a tight end or 2 who might be able to block. Right. I think that they in the past have been very strong at linebacker. I think they've had some good improvement on the defensive line, but nothing like they've had in years past. And I think their secondary sums it up. I think they have 2 really great secondary players and 2 that we don't even know what's going to happen.
Right.
So we shall see. I don't think they're very balanced. I think they're unbalanced. I think they have a lot of talent in 1 or 2 areas and a lot of question marks in others.
So, well, this is all on paper, obviously, for all the teams in the league too. And here's another thing that was on paper too. CBS Sports just released their NFL divisional power rankings. So I'll breeze through them. Let me know what you think. I won't stop anywhere. I'll just breeze through it, and you can tell me what you think. In last place, the 8th division would be the NFC East.
Of course,
right? The 7th would be AFC South. 6th would be NFC North. Oddly enough, that's odd, but okay. 5th would be NFC South. 4th AFC East. 3rd AFC West. 2nd would be AFC North, and 1st NFC West. So NFC West has the top spot.
What was the AFC West third?
Potential for disappointment? Is that what this category is?
Yeah.
Yeah. AFC West is 3rd, and not they're
third best.
3rd best out of the entire league. Obviously,
the power rankings.
Power rankings, yeah.
How are they picking that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I know. Well, they're saying that the AFC North is more powerful than the AFC West.
Well, yeah, I agree, but I don't even think the AFC West should be 5th or 6th on that list. I think.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, I go more north.
What team is?
I don't even know what teams are in these divisions.
Well, what team in the AFC West is even going to be in the top 6 in football?
I guess I just guess they're looking at the Chiefs and then leaving it at that.
The Chiefs. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So
that's all you need.
Well, I mean, the Chargers have an opportunity to be a little bit better than they were last year, and they weren't that bad last year either. With
the Broncos kind of stink. The Raiders are a question mark.
Raiders are a question mark, but who knows? I guess they
got a lot of potential.
But I mean, you know what? I mean, are they better than the AFC East, or is the AFC East better than?
No, they're better than the AFC East.
And are they better than the AFC South?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, okay. It's only 4. Yeah.
Well, you can kind of say, if you look at the West, maybe they overachieved a little bit. Some teams in the East kind of,
I think they're
underachieved a little bit. I don't know.
But is Buffalo better than? I mean, you got Buffalo and San Diego, so the Chiefs put you over the top. So
right.
Okay,
there you go. All right.
Because you got the Jets, the Pats, and the
Pats, and the Dolphins.
Although the Dolphins had a good year last year,
they did.
Yeah.
They did.
So I don't know. Who knows?
Things will come around again. Like we said with the other thing, this is all on paper.
If you're bored, you can dissect this and respond to CBSSports.com.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Please send them your questions, not us, because they wrote the list.
We will only answer questions about Timothy Busfield.
Timothy Busfield and James Earl Jones.
Timothy Busfield's mock draft will be our topic next week.
Next week. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
And lo and behold, Aaron Rodgers was actually asked again if he would return to the Packers, and his answer now is, "We'll see." That's what he said. So he didn't say no. But he said, "We'll see." So.
He didn't say no last time either. He just
didn't really say no, but he said more than "we'll see." So.
Well, yeah. So the key.
Well, listen, we're kind of burying the lead here because the big headline regarding the NFL this week is Rodgers beats Brady.
Yes.
The match. Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau taking out Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson, and Rodgers sinking like a 12 or 15-foot putt.
It's like a 15-footer, yeah.
Doing it where it matters.
Just seal it.
Maybe
we go.
Maybe that golf match.
Brady's rings got in the way of his putter game.
Yeah, and he had a long talk with Tom and said, "You know what? I really want another one. So, all right, I'm not going to get it by going to, anywhere else. Let me see what I can do in Green Bay." And he said it to himself, of course, and he said it to Green Bay. But we'll see what happens. But
Rodgers is going to skip this season and sign with the Brooklyn Nets.
The Brooklyn Nets as a starting quarterback.
But you know what this means?
What's that?
What?
I mean, Brady and Mickelson 0 for 2 now.
Brady and Mickelson are 0 for 2.
They lost to Manning and Tiger Woods last year.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
yes, they did.
Brady's going to have to hang around and
I don't think they care.
Play like 12 more of these matches so he can
exactly. He's
win 9 of the next 10.
Exactly.
I mean, he's nothing without Bill Belichick.
Exactly. I'd like to
Couldn't
see
win a golf match without Bill Belichick.
Without playing with Bill Belichick and not Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
Or Bill Belichick can be the coach, Phil
Mickelson and Bill Belichick.
Swing it this way.
I wonder if Bill Belichick's ever played golf in his life.
No, I'm sure.
Sure he had to. He had to have, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Once had to have,
He it's possible he didn't.
You don't think he just goes home and watches film?
Yeah, since he was 18. That's all he does is go home.
Hey, honey, I'll be downstairs. Bring me a sandwich, would you?
Who knows what he's watching? Yeah, for some reason, still, in 2021, he still has old reels of film.
He's got the reels to reel.
Yeah. That's right. He's watching old Woody Woodpecker cartoons, but whatever.
Yeah, the school went digital, and he bought up like 30 projectors from the district.
He's got them running in every room.
Yeah. Can you please take this digital and transfer into film for me?
He's keeping like the 75-year-old guy who's got that shop in town in business with his film transfer.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Normally they do it the other way, but Belichick, he wants film.
I don't blame him. So much more natural.
Absolutely. It's a warmer feel. You got it. Yeah, you go warm and fuzzy while you're watching. You feel nostalgic. So that's where it's at. Anyway, all right. We will in a couple weeks. We're going to start our quiz. Move it to football. So should be interesting. So all right, let's move
this NBA.
Let's move this party onto the NBA. What do you think?
I think the Tom Brady golf match probably got higher ratings than the first game of the NBA Finals.
Well,
what are you
maybe
saying?
Not the first half. I bet the first half probably had.
Number one, it was on a day where all of the United States was hungover, and I don't think people even knew it was on. And everybody thought that Antetokounmpo wasn't going to play. And I think it was like 3 minutes into the first quarter when they announced, oh, yeah, Giannis is going to play today. In fact, he's been out there since the start of the game.
He's been out there for 3 minutes, yeah. Yeah, well, are you trying to say that there's not a lot of viewership in Phoenix and Milwaukee?
No, look, I think this is a good thing. And I have not been his biggest – I do still think that a lot of the Chris Paul worship is overdone in some ways. But Chris Paul has had a great year. He's stayed healthy, and I hope he does. You know, he's got maybe only 3 games left.
Stop jinxing him.
But, you know, this is – people talk about depth in basketball. This Phoenix, I've been saying this a long time. I've been saying this for 3 years now that I thought Phoenix was really going to emerge. I didn't think they'd be in the finals this quick, but they have a really balanced team, and they have 2 incredible all-stars in Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. And yes, Chris Paul had an incredible game, and he has certainly made this team a lot better. They do have a big 3, and that big 3 played really well. Having said that, they held home court in a game that you kind of thought they would hold home court, and that the Bucks kind of have to readjust now again to having Giannis back on the court.
Right.
I know this sounds odd, but I think the Bucks are a better team without Giannis on the floor. And it's because he puts up great numbers. He had 17 rebounds last night coming back from a really nasty-looking injury. And he's a great player. But for some reason, the ball moves a little bit more, and guys like Middleton and Drew Holiday and Brook Lopez get more touches, and the ball, and it's harder to game plan against the Bucks when Giannis isn't on the floor. Now, of course, he's going to play, and conventional wisdom is that they have, they're obviously a better team with him on the floor. If you watch last night and the game that they got blown out in the game that Giannis got hurt, and the 2 games that they won without him, you tell me what team is better.
Yeah, you're pretty spot on with that. But what are they going to do? You know,
you can't.
You got to play.
You got to play him. And I do think that this will go 5 or 6 games easy. I think the Bucks could easily steal one in Phoenix, and I think Phoenix could win one in Milwaukee. I hope it's a series.
And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think the Bucks are going to win tomorrow, and I think Phoenix will steal one.
But Phoenix has been the most consistent team in the playoffs. They've been really consistent. They played really good. They've had very few stinkers.
And we had questions about them heading into the playoffs, right? At the end of them and Utah, are they for real? You know, Utah was stumbling a little bit towards the end of the season.
Utah doesn't
compete with the big boys.
And Utah doesn't have the depth and balance that I think. Look, Rudy Gobert's a great player. DeAndre Ayton's a better player because he can put the ball in the basket. And he did guard Giannis for part of the game. He had a monster game, and you can look at the numbers. Yes, Paul and Booker and Ayton all had really great games, but the impact that DeAndre Ayton has on the floor when he is playing his game, he is a game changer. He literally is a really, really important part of this team. He's only going to get better. He's a young guy, and I think Devin Booker is. I think Devin Booker is the closest thing that we have in the NBA right now to a Kobe Bryant type player. I'm not saying he's as good as Kobe, but there's something about his game which I think separates him a little bit from some of the other young scorers in the league, and that he can create his own shot a little better than some of these other guys, and he's not afraid to at least have some resemblance of a mid-range game. And that's also what has made Chris Paul so dominant in these playoffs, is that he is that Patton and Chris Paul get into the lane and hit those shots. He's there. He's got his legs underneath him. He's healthy. He's seeing the court probably better than he's ever seen the court. And I think there's a lot of confidence going into this. I think it finally might be the year for Chris Paul to win a championship.
Yeah, he's kind of like the third guy that you have to watch out for on this team, right? Yeah. And Ayton's not he's young. He's not a rookie though, right?
I think it's his second year.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
And he has blossomed, and he is fearless right now. And I think the problem with the Bucks is, we've said it, and the announcer said it. Giannis shouldn't be shooting from the outside. Dump it in, and then let him, get his points and do that. That's how their offense runs. But it doesn't flow smoothly when that happens.
His first year was 2019.
2019. Okay. And when it doesn't work for the Bucks, they don't have a good plan B.
When Giannis can take the ball to the court, or he can get some points on the fast break, that's when they're good, because the ball movement is there.
Right.
There's two guys on the Bucks team when they're not they're Jekyll and Hyde all the time. They're very inconsistent. But there's two guys on that team who dictate the fortunes of the Milwaukee Bucks, and in both cases the ball dies in their hands, and that's Giannis and Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton is a guy who can create, but he's better when there's ball movement and he can get some open mid-range jumpers or some threes. Same thing with Brook Lopez. When Lopez can score in the paint, it opens up the game outside for those guys. Giannis is great in the regular season at scoring in the paint, because there's nobody that's really playing defense and getting up into his space to prevent him from going to the hole. He's hesitant of going to the hole because he's gonna, they're gonna call offensive charging on him all the time because he cannot create that space. So instead of being dynamic and going to the rim in a very definitive manner, he's getting the ball in the paint, but he's not a good ball handler. He's turning it over a lot, and unless he can spin, turn, and shoot real quickly, the ball dies and their offense.
There's no flow to that. There's
no flow.
Right.
There's no.
Yeah, that's an interesting
when you look
to be made that they are a better team without him.
When they beat the Hawks the last two games, Lopez was able to take over some of that spot in the paint. We think about Brook Lopez as this guy who's out in the corner waiting for the three ball, but he scored a lot of points in the paint, which opened up the perimeter for other guys to make shots, and there was much more of a balanced scoring. Everybody was involved, including Connaughton and Holiday and even PJ Tucker, hit a clutch three to seal that game against the Hawks. So that's really the key. I think the Bucks will bounce back. They seem to be the coaching on the Bucks does not seem to reiterate what works for them. It seems like they have one good game and then they forget what works and then they have a bad game. So hopefully they'll go back to figuring out what works. And they got to feed Giannis the ball, but he has to be able to actually take it to the rim, score, and they need to push the basketball. And you think that'd be counterintuitive against a Suns team? When the Bucks get out and take advantage of their defense, which they are a very good defensive team, when they can take advantage of that defense and get some fast break points, that opens up the lane for them in a set offense. And I think it makes them a better team. And look, the other thing is Devin Booker, sometimes criticized for his defense, played an excellent defensive game last night. Whether he was covering Middleton or Drew Holiday, he did a great job on both of those guys.
Yeah.
Having said all that, I'll be a little surprised if it goes more than 5. I think Phoenix is on fire and rolling right now, and I think I would have to agree, and I'm pretty sure that it's it's obvious that the Suns are looking at like they're going to win it, but I don't know. I mean, if Milwaukee can steal the game tomorrow night in Phoenix, and then even if they split in Milwaukee, there's still a chance, and I think it'll go at least 6. I don't think they're going to. Well, obviously they'll go at least 6 if they do that, but you know what I'm saying. But I don't think it goes more than 5.
If they lose tomorrow night, then I'm right with you. If Milwaukee goes back home down 2-0, they're not winning more than one.
That's going to be
they'll win one at home, and then
I think they'll win a couple. I think Milwaukee's a team that beat Brooklyn. I mean, granted, Brooklyn had some injuries and they were a big toe away from moving on. But still, I mean, that was an upset to some degree. They showed a lot of resilience for this Bucks team. They beat the Hawks without their star, which, again, maybe revealed some things that we were kind of maybe knew in the back of our mind.
Right.
I think that the Suns have the ability to kind of go cold from the perimeter. And if that's the case, and the Bucks could get out to a big lead early on, maybe they could steal 1 or 2 games in this series. But yeah, I think it'll go 6. But I just think momentum and stability and consistency is on the Suns' side. I think there's just too many variations in the Bucks game for them to consistently win 4 of the next 5 games, or 4 of the next 6.
4 of the next 6.
And I think Phoenix has one other advantage, and that's the old man.
Yeah,
in Chris Paul. You know, they got a guy who's got experience, although he's been hurt and all that. But the Bucks don't have that kind of anchor, right? Giannis is still young. The team is still pretty young. I don't know who
the anchor to the Bucks is Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton plays better when the Bucks are moving the ball more. He's not necessarily going to be the guy bringing the ball up the court because they have too many of those guys bringing the ball up the court.
Right, but I mean
Chris Middleton is that veteran leader on the Bucks.
Yeah, that guy that can like calm the young kids down and redirect them and that sort of thing. And
I just think the Suns are a more skilled team and they have more balance and they have a guy who knows his job is to rebound and play defense. They have a scorer and they have a guy who's not only a great distributor, we all know that, but hey, just happens to be maybe scoring at the highest clip of his career, and he's 38 years old. So yeah, maybe things are finally falling into place for the Suns. And look, the Suns have some bench players and some guys they're a really good defensive team, and they're long, and they get in the lane and they cause some problems in the passing lanes, and that was really evident yesterday.
Yep. Yeah.
Even when the Bucks started to make a little bit of a run towards the end, there was 3 or 4 trips down the court where the ball was tipped, stolen, or knocked out of bounds and disrupted the Bucks' momentum. And the Suns were able to turn that into points. And that's what championship teams are made out of.
Sure.
So we talk about the Suns and their offensive prowess. What separates them from a lot of the other teams in the West is that they're a really good defensive team when they want to be.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope for some exciting games. That's all.
It should be exciting. I hope it is, and I hope it goes. I hope it does go at least 6, so we can see some.
And look, I mean, if you're talking about 2 towns who are actually really big sports towns, I mean, and who, of course, Milwaukee's had Green Bay and the Packers, but the Bucks have not been in the finals since 74.
Yeah,
and the Suns have not been in the finals in 30 years, 34 years, something like that.
34, 35 or something.
Yeah, so this is good for basketball. It really is.
It is.
And I think it's good if people are watching it on these national televised games to see some of these guys. Because look, a guy like Devin Booker is going to be the face of the NBA for a long time to come. And a lot of people probably don't know who he is. Yeah. It was the same thing when Walter Davis played for the Phoenix Suns. It was a phenomenal player, but nobody knew who he was because he played for the Phoenix Suns. So I think it's a good thing. We'll see. They'll all be playing for the Brooklyn Nets.
They'll be playing for within a few years. They'll be playing,
and they'll still lose.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll it up to round it up with a little bit of hockey. We got a game going on right now.
It's still 1-0.
It is still 1-0.
Still 1-0.
Third period just started.
It looks like it could be the end, but you never know.
Well, it's only 1-0. So and the Canadians won in overtime the other night. So,
well, the Canadians came out and kind of got a little rough and tumble and said, hey, do we want to keep playing here, or are we going to roll over? And I thought maybe that would carry over into tonight's game. Look, I'm definitely pulling for the Canadians, but we'll see what happens. The Lightning are the best team in hockey, and they have been for many years now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it would, to make it a series, Canadians win it, at least, get it to a game 6. But we'll see what that.
Yeah, that would at least be respectable.
Right.
Yeah.
But I hate when a team, does as well, at beating up on a couple of really good teams to get there, and then they only win one game.
And look, this is good for hockey. The fact that we have an entire generation who didn't know that the Montreal Canadiens were a dynasty, and that thought about Anaheim and Tampa Bay before they thought about Toronto and Montreal as far as hockey towns.
Right.
It's good to see the Canadiens back in the finals. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It is,
and not being an Islanders or a Rangers fan, I don't really have any hate for the Lightning. They're a very exciting team to watch, and I'm not rooting for them because it's the Canadiens. But if it was anybody else other than, I don't know, maybe the Maple Leafs, I probably would be rooting for Tampa Bay. I mean,
sure.
With a few exceptions, but
right. Gotcha.
Not I can't stand the Lightning, man. I only say that to my friends who live in Florida. So.
Well, I mean, it could be over tonight. If they win, it could go a little longer. I hope it does. I hope they win at least another game. It would be make it interesting and a little bit more, props for Montreal, if you will. But either way, when we do our show next week, we'll have a new Stanley Cup champion. So we'll have to check that out.
There we go.
All right. Anything else you guys got?
That's some good Wimbledon today. I mean, maybe not the most competitive of matches, but I think we're seeing maybe the end of Roger Federer, and I think we're going to maybe, hopefully, see Novak Djokovic maybe start to finally get to the all-time top, and I think we're going to have to start to talk about him as one of the greats of all time, if not the best.
Yeah.
And he, won in straight sets today, and I hope he could do it again. I'm a big fan of his. I know he kind of rubs some people the wrong way, and obviously he's not nearly the pretty boy fan favorite of a Roger Federer or who's the other Spaniard with whose headband, Nadal, whose headband widens every year with his. But Novak is just he's fantastic, and he kind of reminds me a little bit more of Pete Sampras than anybody else.
Just what I was going to say. He's like a modern day Sampras. He's not
and Bjorn Borg kind of combined in some ways in that he's just really athletic.
Way to look at it. Sure.
And but it's I look forward to this time of year. There's something about Wimbledon. I don't know what it is, but it's really some of the best sporting events I've ever watched have been Wimbledon finals or semifinals. And last year it was Novak and Federer had one for the ages. This year that's obviously not going to happen, but we might be seeing some history there, and I think it's worth watching.
I have to agree with that. I always like watching Wimbledon. Always, have it on as often as possible whenever I can, or check out what happened anyway, replay or whatever. But you're right about the Sampras comparison. That was good. I like the Bjorn Borg thing too. I didn't think about that.
Well, I mean, Borg was one of the Borg, Jimmy Connors of the match. God, I mean, one of the best. I was a really young kid, but I remember just sitting there for hours and hours watching that. It's just unbelievable. But I mean,
that's when Wimbledon was on HBO.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and you had kind of a handful of right. You had Borg, you had McEnroe, you had Connors,
Jimmy Connors,
and then a little later on, you had there's a couple of Swedes that were pretty good. Not quite at the same level, but
Wilander, and the women's game,
and the women's game
for
too.
A while there, the women's game took over.
Chrissy and Martina.
Well, Chrissy and Martina, but I mean, it was Billie Jean King, and then Chrissy, and then Martina. I mean, Martina Navratilova, I think, gets forgotten because we're looking at maybe one of the best athletes of all time,
right?
In Serena Williams, but Martina Navratilova was just incredible. And you had somebody like Steffi Graf who went through some tough times with getting attacked and stabbed, and she was really good.
She's an incredible player.
Yeah, and
Agassi.
Yeah, and who was the little Czech girl who came on really strong for a number of years there was really great. I mean, look, tennis is one of those things that I would never, ever claim to be an expert at, but there's something about it. It's one of the few individual sports that I think they're incredible athletes. And I think that we went through a period where the power game, especially in the men's sport, was such a part of it that you didn't see as much back and forth and real match play. Well, I think now you still have that power in the serves. The serves are 130 miles an hour at times, right. But you're starting to see the athleticism and the sort of back and forth across the court that you haven't really seen since Jimmy Connors and Bjorn Borg
But that was the thing about Wimbledon,
right?
It's because
especially on the grass.
Roscoe Tanner, who was one of the first guys to hit the ball that hard on the serve, right? He was like the guy who hit it 130 miles an hour,
right?
It didn't do that much,
right.
Because you had to have finesse. You had to do more than just hit it hard. Don't forget Lendl.
Yeah,
it was Ivan Lendl, and then he won a few matches, and then he became Yvonne Lendl. He was in that
Ivan and
too.
Yvonne. Yeah,
but that was the beauty of Wimbledon. Is it was unlike the filthy clay at Roland Garros, and it was unlike the hard courts at the U.S. Open, where a forehand moves 120 miles an hour. So it was playing on grass, for crying out loud. And there was, always weather conditions. At least one year, there were like shrimp that were growing in the court because there was so much rain, and like little brine shrimp, whatever, eggs grew, or there's just ridiculousness going on there. So
Martina Hingis is who I was thinking.
Martina Hingis, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean there were a lot of who was the
45 career titles she had, 5 Grand Slams. I mean, she was really, really good for a period of time. Then she had some injuries and she was, by comparison to a lot of the players, she was kind of slight. Right. She wasn't as big and athletic as some of these other players.
Sure.
But the best name ever in all of sports, Yvonne Goolagong.
Goolagong, yes.
Goolagong.
Yes.
Yeah, and you had like a bunch of guys like Michael Chang.
Yeah, of course.
And Jim Courier, who was a little bit later after sort of that heyday. But Courier was like number 1 in the world for like 2.5 years or something outrageous like that.
And Pete Sampras, who was the Tim Duncan of tennis, just really good.
Right. Not glamorous.
Not glamorous. Not
make the ladies swoon.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he just seemed
not
like
publicly anyway.
Yeah, he just seemed
right. No, but I'm saying his image and certainly the way he was marketed, he was just a incredibly talented workaholic. So
sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So I don't know. That's some good tennis. Well, I think Monday will be is Monday the men's. I don't know. It'll be soon here.
Yeah, it used to be always on the 4th of July, weather permitting.
Right.
Champagne and something else. It's the 8th, right? Champagne and cheese or something. I don't know. Champagne and tapioca.
Champagne and tapioca.
I don't think that was it.
Champagne and goat cheese from
Champagne and
Roland Garros.
Champagne and Ritz crackers.
That's right.
With a little cheese whiz.
Yeah, something that you had on because we used to watch on the 4th of July and watch the final.
Champagne and strawberries.
I mean, if they combine Wimbledon, I mean, there's nothing that says more that can summarize what goes on in the United States versus the UK better than what our top events are on July 4th.
Yeah,
you have Wimbledon and the hot dog
eating contest. Can't beat it. You can't make this up, and you can't beat it.
And you have to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch either of them.
Oh, you gotta love it. Well, on that note, we'll.
Yeah, it's just one other thing.
Sure.
You mentioned Kobayashi before.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. There's I think it was a 30 for 30
on Kobayashi
and Chestnut and their rivalry. And,
I didn't know that. I got to see that. You watched it?
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Oh wow,
really, really good, and then you really kind of got to know a lot. It was more about Kobayashi than anything else.
Now, do you get to pick sparkling or flat water for your dunking? I mean, do you get a choice?
You can choose whatever you want. Yeah.
Really?
Well, one guy was drinking. It looked like Gatorade. Was there some sort of a?
How many gastroenterologists are on and
staff
cardiac?
Just think about how do you 76 hot dogs.
They got to get rid of them.
the guys who win are small. It's not like it's not like
no,
a
it has nothing to do with.
winner.
I'm just how does your body process that?
Well, I mean, it's all in the stomach muscles. I mean, these guys are
but I mean, after it's in there.
Oh yeah,
well, they got to get rid of it.
Right?
They got to get rid of it.
They have to go right.
They
You
have
can't
to get rid of it.
How they throw it up?
Sure,
I would think so. That's the dirty little secret of the.
I'll
tell you the thing about the documentary is.
I think they're on the bowl until July 3rd of the next year.
Is the head of the.
They eat one day and then.
Yeah, no, because they have all.
Are there any
pizza competition?
Right,
and there's
That's what I was going to ask.
There's a whole tour.
What's the Grand Slam tour of competitive eating? And are there any other hot dog events?
Well, I happen to personally know somebody that won the pizza eating contest, and the pizza eating contest at the time was 5 slices of Ray's pizza from New York, and also the same person won the McDonald's battle. That same year, and that was 2 Big Macs, 2 supersized fries, a 20-piece nugget, and 2 chocolate shakes.
Yeah, those are not sanctioned events.
Those numbers are inflated.
There's
not inflated because I was there.
There's a whole tour.
And I watched you. Well, I'm sorry, I gave it away.
I want to go to one of those places where they give you the pizza that's 3 feet across,
Right.
and like you have whatever 2 hours.
There is some show, Man versus Food, or
Man
something
versus
like
Food.
that.
that's
Adam
been
Richman.
around for-
And that watching, even when that guy's not eating, I feel at ill ease. There's something about him. I like him, but there's something about him that makes me feel uncomfortable. And then you watch him in these situations, and it's the most uncomfortable show on television. Having said that, I watch it all the time.
Yeah, he was not the original guy.
Right. It was
that guy looked like it was Ricky something. I think he looked like he was going to destroy the food.
Yeah.
Adam Richman looks like he'll be
scared
lucky
of
if he survives. Yes, he's frightened of the hot wings.
Yeah, the hot wings do him in. They definitely do.
He's he just I don't know. Well,
You
he's
want
a
some
ginger,
guy
right?
who's
He's
just-
a redhead, right?
You just want some big oof who's going to go in there and just.
Well, he was a
pick up the
blonde. The
table
hot
and
sauce
eat it
changing
too.
to red.
Hot sauce changes hair. Yeah, he looks like he lost a bet, and he's got to go do this now. He doesn't really want to, but I don't know. I think
the
he can only
original
do
host
that.
was the original host was Giada De Laurentiis, but she went on to bigger and better things.
He went on to other things, yeah. So,
Right.
anyway.
All right, there you go. Wimbledon and competitive eating. No other show puts those things together.
And wraps up the show with doing it.
Yeah.
That's the best part of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, look,
We saved the best for last. If you
nothing.
bailed after baseball, big mistake.
Spare no expense.
that's
Absolutely.
right. Top 10 competitive eaters. I mean,
If you heard a couple
That's
things
next
about football and decided to tune out, you blew it.
You blew it.
Right.
You blew it. This was the time to be tuned in till. So
Kobayashi, I mean, absolute hero. And
I got to watch that 30 for 30. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a 30 for 30.
So,
It was really
check it
good.
out. Cool.
It might just be a documentary that they made.
I mean, it's going to be. They're going to have to. They're going to come out and find out that somebody's using foreign substances in their water to help grease their gullet or something.
Yeah.
Somebody's putting spider tack on the other guy's buns so they don't slide down as easily.
Oh, wait. Which buns?
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Always dip your bun in water before you slide it down your throat.
Little spider tack on the buns keeps
That's
things,
right.
things
Little spider
intact.
tack on the buns never hurt you.
It's called the Kobayashi slider.
Is it a full Kobayashi or just a half Kobayashi?
I mean, Joey Chestnut or whatever his
Semi-Kobayashi.
name is. It's not his real name again.
Joey Chestnut was
That
good.
is his real
Yeah,
name, yeah.
Joey
I
Chestnut.
mean, he's great and he's become the star of the show. But I mean, nothing was. I didn't think this was real because the first time I saw it, literally, I woke. You turn on ESPN out of habit. There's nothing on except they're at Nathan's Hot Dogs, and there's a 85-pound Japanese guy throwing seven hot dogs every 30 seconds down his gullet, dipping it in bottles of water. And I was like, who came up with this? Because this even makes like the cars on ice with the dirt track motocross team. I mean, there's people, you could say NASCAR is all American. There's nothing more all American than shoving hot dogs down your throat as a competition.
Yeah, but only if they followed it up with a couple of apple pies. You get to 76 hot dogs, and then you have to eat two apple
one
pies.
slice of apple pie.
I'm surprised McDonald's or somebody else hasn't thought about this. I mean, this has probably done wonders for Nathan's. I mean, 25 years ago, you went to that Nathan's in Coney Island. I mean, you went there to get crack or to get shot. You weren't going there to get a chili dog. Not after sun went down. That's for sure.
There you go.
So it's oof.
Well, yeah, it's all revamped now.
Coney Island's all
shut
urban
Coney
renewal.
Island down for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, it's not the Coney Island of what was the?
It's not the dangerous drug dealing.
It's not your
Coney
dad's
Island,
Coney
not your
Island
grandfather's
anymore.
what was
Coney
the
Island.
movie with Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly and not
I know what you're talking about.
that was set in Coney. That was set in the old school of Coney Island. That was a great film.
Yeah.
What's her name was in it too?
Ellen Burstyn played
Ellen
the mom,
Burstyn.
Ellen Burstyn's in it. Yep. So he's checking.
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream.
Yes.
That was a brutally good film.
Yeah.
Was very good. Was that Darren Aronofsky? I think so.
I think that was, yeah.
Yeah. There was something comparable to a hot dog scene in that film.
Not
Anyway,
76 of them, though.
No.
Just one very large one.
Just one.
Yeah.
One.
Well,
Anyway.
maybe two, depending on how
okay.
you look at it.
It depends on, exactly. So.
Depends
That's
on your
all.
perspective.
That's all.
Let's
it
just
is.
say bottoms up.
All righty. Well, on that note, speaking of spider tech on your buns.
We cover it all.
All righty. And then some. All right. On that note, we will wrap the show up for today. I want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of the shows are on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend. Watch a lot of sports. Enjoy. Watch the... see what's going on with the if the NHL Stanley Cup Finals continue this weekend or if they're over tonight. But either way, the NBA Finals will continue, and we will talk to you next week, guys. Have a great weekend. Cheers.
Go Biaggi.
Speaking of Nathan's hot dogs, I got a package in my fridge right now. It was buy one, get one free.
Well, next week
let's
we're going to watch Pete.
So I'll see if I can eat 8 hot dogs
We'll
with
do the
buns
podcast, and you could just
over the course of the show.
Yeah, it's 8 hot dogs over the course of the show. That's the
Go for it.
I wouldn't bet against me.
No.
Maybe. Well, we have to put a time limit. Maybe 2 hours.
Within the first 2 hours, you have to.
Within the first hour. You got to do it within the first hour.
That's one every 15 minutes. I think you can handle
Yeah,
that.
that's easy. I think I did that many.
Oh yeah, that's in the
6
first
minutes
hour.
once.
You get
All
it done in the first hour. Why don't we see how long it takes, and we'll put levels on.
That's right.
You get this if
All
it's this, and blah blah blah. So
Honestly, we're probably gonna have them for dinner tomorrow night. But I bought 2, and I was gonna make spaghetti and then grill the hot dogs and then cut them up and put them in the spaghetti. You ever
There
have
you
that when you were a kid?
Sure, absolutely.
My wife went, that would be stupid. That would be terrible.
It's just more like mac and cheese. I think we did it with. Yeah.
Oh no, he's put spaghetti with hot dogs, man.
Actually, most of the time, my mom actually used to cut up the hot dogs and fry them with potatoes.
Ooh, that's good too.
It was good. Yeah, it was like.
Well, if they're still in the fridge,
there you go.
then I'll grill them up and I'll. Because I don't have enough health problems. I could down 8 hot dogs in an hour.
So,
Hey, how you
what's
doing,
a couple
Doc?
of Nathan's
Good to
hot
see you
dogs
again.
between friends?
I mean,
What did you do this time? Well,
we could have a remote location from JJ's hot dog truck.
We could do that. Oh, let's
Bloomfield
do it.
Ave, and
Have you ever been? Yeah, you gotta. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to figure that out. One day we have to do a remote from JJ's on Bloomfield Avenue.
I want to go. I know
White
it doesn't
truck
exist
opposite.
anymore. I want to go to Fat Mike's.
Dukes.
hey guys,
We'll have to do that.
Now we're in the
Yeah.
Just get you a chocolate cow and you'll be
the
good to go.
Jersey
That's right.
nostalgia.
No,
I
I mean, Rutt's
want to
hot.
go to Fat Mike's.
Rutt's hot.
Fat Mike's.
That
Go to
was
Rutt's
on-
Hot. We'll do Rutt's Hot. That's what we'll do. We'll do Rutt's
All
Hot.
right.
What was the hot dog place on Route 17? I think it was with the barrels. So you had the
Fat Mike's.
families.
Fat Mike's.
It's Fat
We
Mike's.
used to go there on the way to Cosmos games.
And what's the other place? Is it Harry's or something that's in like Hasbrook Heights?
Harry's was on. It was in Little Ferry, right?
Little Fair. Right.
Little Ferry on Route 46.
Yeah, there you
That
go.
was Harry's. Yeah, we used to go to Harry's too.
That's still there?
I don't think it is now.
Rutt's
See?
Hut's still there.
Rutt's Hut's still there. It's just there the other day. Well, last week.
Alrighty.
You tuned out after listen on Stitcher. You missed it, folks.
Exactly.
it.
See,
Giving you the hot dog secret.
Deep
you said
dive into-
when I
Fat
said ciao, or cheers, you were opposite.
That's
ciao
like
now.
the beginning
Fat
of the night.
Mike's. Wow. That was
was
next
just-
to the ground round.
There you go. Yeah, it was right next to Fat Mike's was right next to Ground Round. Yes,
Yeah,
it
that was great.
That's called Fine Dining Row.
Fine dining row. You had to live it. And Mount
I
Fuji
think
was
I
right next
was,
door too.
I don't know, probably 14.
What was the Mexican place where the Toxic Avenger was filmed down on the?
That was called the Mexican place.
That's right. And you know what? It was really good.
It was good. It really was.
There's a place on the other side of the road from the Walt Whitman Mall. We used to go. There's a piano store there, and the boys used to have recitals there. And it has a little awning out front, and it's like Casa Whatever. But the Casa Whatever, the name is small, and then in big letters it says Mexican food. So we were like, where do we want to go?
That's so
eat
you can
for
change
lunch?
the name occasionally.
And my son would go, let's go to Mexican food. And I go, where's Mexican food? He'd go, it's right over there.
Mexican food.
Because I would go, because we could never see
when did that become a trend where like it wasn't like Dr. Smith's chiropractic? It was just chiropractor.
Yeah.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Mexican food.
Mexican food.
Pizza. Well, that's a given.
Pizza.
So.
Yeah.
I think it was Casa Luis, and it was really good. It was run by a couple, and really good homemade stuff.
Casa Luis Mexican food, but then they could change it to pizza or pasta or
Yeah, I guess. Well, it's one of the things they do here at all the strip malls is they remodel the front of them.
And they
every
say strip
couple
mall
of years, and so they just put up chiropractor,
Acme Pizza.
Acme Pizza. There you go.
Jewelry.
It's like a Roadrunner cartoon.
They want to make it as generic as possible because
phones
here on Long Island, those businesses might not be there very long, and then they gotta just change out the name and the sign. They don't want to
small one above it, not the big one.
They don't want like
keep that
Johnson's
signage
jewelry.
down.
Yeah, no, you don't want anything personalized.
Not at all.
General.
Exactly.
Because you're probably gonna have to change it in 8 months. So
right.
There you go. All right, that's it.
There you go. That's your bonus for tonight, folks.
There you go. We started out with choking and we ended with choking.
There you go.
We got over the 2.5 hour mark, and that's what we want.
Exactly.
Right. We get bonus points from our sponsor.
All right.
Nathan's Hot Dogs.
Nathan's Hot Dogs, exactly. And Ruts.
They might want to sponsor after next week.
That's right.
This is true.
That's right. Whether you're sliding them down your throat competitively or just sitting back and relaxing on a Sunday afternoon.
I will not
Nathan's Hot Dogs.
I will not be dunking.
You will not. No dunking. No dunking.
I might eat 8 hot dogs for the show next week.
Let's try. Let's see what we can do.
I hope so.
All right.
Just because it'll make the podcast way more fun for me. But I want a different background. I want at least one hot dog with the Wilford Brimley.
I will definitely work on
the wall background, and then maybe you can eat the last one laying down on the bed. I mean, I'm just trying to tease your OnlyFan audience.
Maybe I'll hang it from the ceiling.
You can record it and use it dual.
That's right. Actually, if you could find twine and
lower it down.
I'll put a string on a pulley.
You could find string, twine, or wire and a screw on that shelf. Then yes, you can.
There you go.
You can hang your wiener from the ceiling.
Hang your wiener from the ceiling.
I'll eat my wiener like a piñata.
That's right. It could have been a wiener.
And that usually costs extra, so you folks would be really getting a bonus.
Hey, look,
could have been a wiener.
Could have been a wiener.
I could have been a wiener.
Jump for it, Petey, jump!
Wasn't that the line that they had Louis Tiant say for the one of the local hot dogs? I could have been a wiener.
I could have been a wiener. Oh, I gotta love
it.
All right, folks.
That's obscure nonsense this week.
Tune in next week. Tune in next week when we talk about the Meadows.
Yes. All right.
Job, folks.
That's Long Island strip mall Mexican food. Top 10.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Cheers, folks.